Chapter 1. The Muffin That Broke the Camel's Back. The Bell Above Bean. There, done. That jingled as Ella Marlowe slammed a paper cup of oat milk latte on the counter, her apron smudged with cocoa powder and her left shoe leaking rainwater. It was 8:17 a.m. She'd been up since 5,003 fixing her piece of junk car again, and the third Karen of the morning was currently leaning over the register, her voice shrill enough to make the pastries in the display case tremble. "Are you kidding me?" The woman blonde, wearing a fur coat that looked like it cost more than Ella's monthly rent, snarled. She pushed a muffin across the counter, its top slightly lopsided. "This is undercooked. I asked for a well-done blueberry muffin. Do you know how much I pay for this? $12. 12. Ella took a deep breath. Oi, in, out. Remember the student loans. Remember the leaky roof. Remember that moving back in with your parents means listening to Dad's "I told you history" was a useless degree. Speeches until you want to crawl into a coffee pot and boil yourself. But the words came out anyway. "Ma'am," she said, through gritted teeth, "it's a muffin. Not a Michelin-starred steak. The inside is moist. That's how blueberry muffins work. If you wanted a brick, I can microwave it for 5 minutes. Or you could go to the grocery store and buy a 2-package of them. Your call." The woman's mouth dropped open. "I'll be speaking to your manager." "Be my guest," Ella said. "She's in the back, crying about how the espresso machine broke again. Good luck." 10 minutes later, Ella was standing on the sidewalk, her apron crumpled in her hand, a pink slip folded into her jacket pocket. Her manager, Linda, who'd been nice until the franchise owner threatened to fire her, had sighed and said, "Ella, I like you, but you can't yell at the customers. Even the ones who deserve it." Ella kicked a puddle, sending muddy water splattering on her jeans. Deserve it? She called the muffin a crime against baked goods. A crime. "I've written papers on medieval war crimes. A muffin is not a war crime." Linda winced. "Just go home." "We'll talk later?" "Sure," Ella said. "Talk later." Which means, don't come back. Got it? The walk to her car was miserable. Rain drizzled down, cold and grey, and her shoes squelched with every step. Her car. An old Honda Civic, held together with duct tape and hope, was parked 3 blocks away, its windshield wipers stuck on fast, even though the rain was barely a drizzle. She unlocked it, slid into the driver's seat, and stared at the dashboard. The check engine light was on, permanent. The gas gauge was on E, surprise. And there was a crumpled envelope on the passenger seat. She picked it up. Student loan statement. 6412.87. Due in 10 days. Ella put her head on the steering wheel and groaned. This was it. This was rock bottom. She had a master's degree in medieval folklore, 0 job prospects, a car that was 1 pothole away from becoming a lawn ornament, and now no income. Her parents had offered to let her move back in, but move back in meant sleeping on the couch, listening to her mum's passive-aggressive comments about wasting her potential, and her dad's "I told you so" rants. No thank you. She pulled out her phone, its screen cracked in 3 places, and opened her email. Bam, bam. A coupon for cat food. She volunteered at the shelter on weekends. Don't ask how she afforded the donations. And then, at the bottom, a classified ad from a site she'd subscribed to last week, odd jobs for quick cash. She almost deleted it. Almost, but the 60K number flashed in her mind, and she clicked. The ad was short, weird, and suspiciously well paid. Magical creature care technician, 35-hour cash or direct deposit. No experience required. We train. Must be comfortable with horned clients, loud noises, and the occasional magical mishap. Location. Bramblewood Forest, Thorn's Magical Services, follow the red signs. You'll know it when you see it. Reply to Gareth. thornservices@gmail.com. Ella blinked. Magical creatures? Horned clients. This had scam written all over it. Probably some weirdo in a unicorn costume who wanted someone to groom him for cash. Or a farm that raised goats and thought magical creature sounded fancier than smelly goat. But $35 an hour. $35 an hour. If she worked 40 hours a week, that was $1,400, enough to pay the loan minimum, enough to fix the car, enough to not move back in with her parents. She typed a reply before she could overthink it. Subject: application. Magical creature, care high. I saw your ad. I'm Ella. I have no experience with magical creatures, but I can follow instructions. I don't faint at loud noises, and I once spent 3 hours calming down a panicky cat at the shelter. Also, I really need the money. Let me know if you're still hiring. She hit send. Then she leaned back in the driver's seat, stared at the rainy sky, and laughed. A bitter, desperate laugh. Magical creatures, she muttered. Great. Next thing you know, I'll be working as a dragon's babysitter. Or a leprechaun's accountant. An hour later, her phone buzzed. From Gareth Thorn Services, gmail.com. Ella, perfect. Come in tomorrow at 10 a.m. for an interview. Wear clothes you don't mind getting dirty. And don't be late. Gareth, that's me. Hates waiting. Directions. Take Highway 12 to Bramblewood, turn left at the gas station with the neon goat sign, follow the red thorn signs into the forest. The barn's hard to miss. See you then. Ella stared at the email. No mention of a resume, no background check. Just come tomorrow, wear dirty clothes. This was definitely a scam, but she dug out her last clean pair of jeans, the ones with the hole in the knee, and a flannel shirt stolen from her dad in college, and set her alarm for 8 a.m. Scam or not, it was better than the couch. Chapter 2. The Goblin Manager and the Safety Manual. Bramblewood Forest was nothing like Ella expected. She'd pictured dark, spooky trees, maybe a few foggy paths. Instead, it was bright sunlight filtering through the leaves, birds chirping, wildflowers growing along the dirt road. The Red Thorn's Magical Services. Signs were everywhere, hand-painted in what looked like teal glitter. Her car sputtered to a stop in front of a barn. Not a creepy barn. Well, okay, it was a little creepy, with a sign above the door that said, "No humans, exceptee technicians," and a window with a pair of glowing yellow eyes peeking out. But it was also cute, in a haunted cottagecore way. Flower boxes hung from the windows, filled with what looked like purple grass that moved when she blinked, and a wooden porch swing creaked in the breeze. Ella turned off the car, took a deep breath, and got out. Her shoe still leaked. Great. She knocked on the barn door. It creaked open before her fist even hit the wood. Standing in the doorway was a creature she could only describe as a goblin. He was about 3 feet tall, with green skin, pointed ears, and a bushy brown beard that reached his knees. He wore a tiny flannel shirt, matching Ella's, weirdly, and overalls held up with suspenders, and he was holding a clipboard that was almost as big as he was. "You Ella?" he said, his voice like gravel in a blender. Yeah, Ella said. She held out her hand. "Nice to meet you. Gareth?" Gareth looked at her hand like it was a snake. "Don't touch me. I don't do human germs. On. Interviews inside." He turned and waddled into the barn, his clipboard tucked under his arm. Ella followed, her shoes squelching on the wooden floor. The barn's interior was nothing like a regular barn. There were no hay bales, no cows, no smell of manure. Instead, it was split into small rooms, each with a door labelled with weird symbols. One looked like a horn, another like a tail, a third like a flame. The air smelled like cinnamon, and something metallic, like copper mixed with rain. Gareth led her to a small office in the back, its walls covered in posters. Safety, Firest, don't pet the unicorns. Unless they pet you first, magical floods, not for drinking, and Kael says, no human food in the treat room. Sit, Gareth said, pointing to a rickety wooden chair. He climbed onto a stack of books behind the desk so he could see over it. Ella sat. The chair creaked. So, magical creatures. What kind, exactly? Gareth raised an eyebrow. The horned kind. Shadow unicorns, mostly. Sometimes a dryad. Occasional fox spirit. You know, magical stuff. Shadow unicorns, Ella repeated. She leaned forward. Like real unicorns? With horns and tails and all that? Gareth sighed, like he was explaining something to a toddler. No, Ella. Fake unicorns. We dress up goats in glitter and call them unicorns. Of course, real unicorns. What do you think this is, a children's party? Ella blinked. I don't know. I thought it was a scam. Scam? Gareth looked offended. I'll have you know, Thorn's Magical Services has been in business for 50 years. We provide top-tier care for magical creatures. Kael. He's the boss. The head unicorn would skin me alive if I ran a scam. Now, questions. He picked up a pencil, it had a tiny horn on the end, and stared at her. First, are you afraid of large animals? No, Ella said. I volunteered at a horse rescue in college. I can handle large. Good. Second, can you follow instructions? Even if they seem weird? Define weird. Don't touch the horn unless he asks. If the fluid glows red, run. Kael's cookies are his. Do not eat them. That kind of weird. Ella thought about the student loans. No, I can follow weird instructions. Third, do you have any allergies? To magic? To fur? To maple syrup? Maple syrup? Dryads cry it. Messy stuff. Allergies? No allergies, Ella said. Unless you count glitter. But I can deal. Gareth nodded. He checked a box on his clipboard. Last question. Why do you want this job? Ella leaned back. Honest answer. I have 60k in student debt, my car is dying, and I just got fired from a coffee shop for yelling at a woman about a muffin. I need the money. Badly. Gareth stared at her for a long moment. Then he grinned, sharp teeth, but not in a scary way. Finally, someone who's not lying about loving magical creatures. Kael hates liars. You're hired. Ella's mouth dropped open. That's it? No background check? No test? Gareth shrugged. We're short-staffed. The last technician quit because Kael yelled at her for eating his cookies. He seemed tough. And desperate. Desperate people work hard. Start tomorrow. I am. Wear old clothes. Bring a water bottle. And read this. He tossed a booklet across the desk. It was titled Thorn's Magical Services Safety Manual for Human Technicians, Volume 7. The cover had a picture of a shadow unicorn black, with a spiral horn that glowed teal. Standing next to a goblin, Gareth probably, and a human woman wearing a flannel shirt. Ella picked it up. What's Kael like? The boss. The unicorn. Gareth's grin faded. Quiet. Doesn't like humans. But he's fair. Mostly. Just. Don't eat his cookies, and don't touch his horn unless he says so. He kicks hard. Last technician still has a bruise. Got it, Ella said. No cookies. No horn touching. Got it. She stood up, the safety manual tucked under her arm. Thanks. I won't let you down. Gareth waved her off. Just don't get kicked. Or burned. Or covered in maple syrup. See you tomorrow. Ella walked back to her car, the safety manual in her hand. She flipped through it as she unlocked the door. Rule all 1. All magical creatures are dangerous, even the cute ones, especially the cute ones. Rule 5. If a fox spirit asks you to look at this cool trick, run. They steal wallets. Rule 7. Kael's favourite cookie is chocolate chip. Do not eat them. I mean it. Ella. Rule 2 out 12. The Energy Guide. Process is simple. Use the wand to siphon excess magic from the client's horn. If the magic glows teal, you're good. If it glows red, abort. Run. Do not look back. Ella closed the manual. She stared at the barn, where the purple grass in the flower boxes was still moving. Shadow unicorns, she said, to no one. Energy Guide. No cookies. This is either the best decision of my life, or the worst. Let's hope it's the best. She got into her car, turned the key, and prayed it would start. It did. Small wins. Chapter 3. First day, jitters and teal glow. Ella arrived at Thorn's Magical Services at 8:58 a.m., wearing her oldest jeans, hole in the knee, coffee stain on the thigh, her dad's flannel shirt, and a pair of rain boots she'd found at a thrift store. They were 2 sizes too big, but they didn't leak. She'd read the safety manual twice, highlighted the no cookies and run if red parts, and brought a water bottle filled with lemonade, her mom's recipe, packed in a thermos that said, "World's Best Historian." The barn was already busy when she walked in. A fox. No, wait, a fox spirit. With silver fur and green eyes was sitting on the porch swing, eating a granola bar. She waved when Ella walked up. "New tech," she said, her voice like wind chimes. Yeah. Ella. Lyra, the fox spirit said. She hopped off the swing, and in a flash of silver light, she was human tall, with silver hair and a leather jacket covered in patches. "Don't worry, it's not as scary as Gareth makes it sound. Mostly, Ella said. Lyra winked. Just don't touch Kale's cookies. Or his horn. Or his favourite blanket. He's weird about his stuff." Before Ella could ask more, Gareth waddled out of the barn, his clipboard in hand. Ella. "Oh, good. Come on. Kael's in room 3. First session. Don't mess up." He led her inside, past a room where a dryad, was humming to himself, and another where a tiny dragon, or worm, Gareth called it, was napping in a pile of blankets. "Room 3 is Kael's private room," Gareth said, stopping in front of a door with a horn symbol on it. "He's particular. Likes it quiet. No distractions. You'll need this." He handed her a wand about a foot long, made of dark wood, with a teal crystal on the end, and a pair of gloves. Wand for energy guide. Gloves to protect your hands from the magic. It can get hot. Bow. Steps. Knock. Wait for him to say, "Come in." Introduce yourself. Explain you're the new tech. Then follow his lead. He'll tell you what to do. Got it? Ella nodded, her hands sweating. Got it. Knock. Wait. Introduce. Follow lead. No cookies, no horn. Good, Gareth said. Go. He pushed her toward the door. Ella stumbled, caught herself, and took a deep breath. She knocked. A voice came from inside. Deep, gruff, like gravel mixed with thunder. "Come in." Ella turned the doorknob. Room 3 was nothing like she expected. It was cozy, for one thing. Soft rugs covered the wooden floor. Fairy lights, the real kind, not the Christmas kind. They glowed like tiny stars, hung from the ceiling, and there was a bookshelf filled with human books, The Hobbit, Pride and Prejudice, a thick biography of someone named Genghis Khan. A large window looked out at the forest, and in front of it, standing with his back to the door, was a man. Wait. A man. Ella blinked. She'd expected a unicorn. A big, black, horned unicorn. Not a man. Tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a flannel shirt. Seriously, what was with the flannel here? And work boots, his black hair streaked with silver, falling over his shoulders. He had a scar on his left cheek, and his hands, big, calloused, were folded behind his back. He turned around. His eyes were teal. Not human teal, magical teal. They glowed, just a little, like the crystal on her wand. And when he looked at her, Ella felt a shiver run down her spine. Not fear. Something else. Something she didn't want to name. "You're the new tech," he said. It wasn't a question. "Ella," she said, holding out the wand like a weapon. "I'm Ella, the new tech." Gareth said to follow your lead. He nodded. He didn't smile. Didn't offer his hand. Just nodded. Good. Let's get this over with. He walked to the center of the room, where a small table stood. On the table was a cushion, and next to it, a bowl of honey. "Energy guide," he said, like he was explaining a math problem. "You take the wand. Hold it, an inch from my horn. When I say start, you siphon the excess magic. It should glow teal. If it glows red, stop. Immediately." "Your horn," Ella said. "Right. Where is it?" Kale sighed. He closed his eyes, and for a moment Ella thought he was annoyed. Then his body shimmered like heat waves on a summer day, and when the shimmer faded, there was a horn. A spiral horn, black as obsidian, glowing teal at the tip, protruding from his forehead. Ella's mouth dropped open. "Oh, wow, that's cool." Kale's ears turned pink, just a little. "Focus, please." Right. Focus. Ella took a step forward, her boots squelching. She'd forgotten to take them off. She held the wand up, her hand trembling. Ready? Kael closed his eyes. Start. Ella touched the wand to his horn. Nothing happened. Ah, she said. Is it supposed to not do anything? You're not doing it right, Kael said without opening his eyes. Squeeze the wand. Gently. Focus on the magic. It should flow into the crystal. Ella squeezed the wand. Gently. She focused on the student loans, on the leaky roof, on not messing this up. And then the wand's crystal glowed. Teal. Bright, warm, like sunlight through a lake. She felt a hum in her hands, soft and steady. And when she looked at Kael's face, his eyes were still closed, his jaw relaxed. Good, he said, his voice quieter. That's good. Keep going. Ella kept going. For 10 minutes, she stood there, holding the wand to his horn, watching the teal glow ebb and flow. It was weirdly calming. The hum of the magic, the sound of Kael's quiet breathing, the sunlight through the window. She forgot about the student loans, forgot about the coffee shop, forgot about the fact that she was standing in a barn, siphoning magic from a unicorn who could turn into a man. Then the wand's glow faded. Stop, Kael said. Ella pulled the wand away. The crystal was dim now, the teal gone. Kael opened his eyes, and the horn vanished, the shimmer fading from his body. Ooh, he said. He walked to the table, picked up the bowl of honey and took a spoonful. You didn't mess up. For a beginner. Thanks, Ella said. She put the wand down, her hands still humming. That wasn't as scary as I thought. Kael raised an eyebrow. Scary? Gareth said you kick, and that the last tech got a bruise. He snorted. She ate my cookies. I warned her. Twice. Ah, the cookies. Ella smiled. Right. No cookies. Got it. Kael finished the honey, then wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. You're here tomorrow. I am. Same room. Don't be late. Got it. No late. No cookies. No horn touching. He nodded. Good. You can go. Gareth will show you where to put the wand. Ella turned to leave, but before she reached the door, she stopped. Hey, she said. Kael looked up. Thanks for not kicking me or yelling. I really need this job. Kael stared at her for a long moment. Then he said, Don't mess it up. But his voice was softer, not gruff, almost nice. Ella smiled. I won't. She walked out of the room, her heart lighter than it had been in weeks. Maybe this wasn't a scam. Maybe this was exactly what she needed. And maybe, just maybe, she was going to like working with shadow unicorns, even if they were weird about cookies. Chapter 4. Fox Spirits, Maple Syrup and Stolen Lattes. Ella's second day at Thorn's Magical Services started with a disaster. Okay, minor disaster. She'd woken up late, her alarm clock died. Thanks, universe. Thrown on the same flannel shirt, now with a new honey stain from yesterday's session, and sprinted to her car. She'd made it to the barn at 9:02 a.m., 2 minutes late, and found Lyra leaning against the porch, holding a paper cup that smelled like vanilla latte. Tardy on day 2, Lyra said, grinning. Kyle's gonna be so mad. He times everything, even naps. Ella groaned, fumbling with her rain boots. My alarm died. Is he already in room 3? Nah, Lyra said. She held out the latte. Got this for you. Figured you'd need it. Barista down the road knows how to make a proper oat milk vanilla latte. Not like that sad stuff you had yesterday. Ella took the latte, warmth spreading through her hands. Thanks. You didn't have to. Lyra said, waving it off. I owed you. Gareth told me you didn't run when I turned into a fox yesterday. Most humans scream. You just said cool. Ella laughed. I've seen weirder. My college roommate used to dress up as a medieval knight and recite poetry at 2 a.m. A talking fox is tame. Lyra's eyes lit up. Medieval knight. Tell me more. Did he have a sword? Did he fight anyone? Before Ella could answer, Garrett's voice boomed from inside the barn. Ella. Kaels, asking for you. And Lyra. Stop distracting the teach. Lyra winced. Oops, gotta go. Don't mention the latte to KL. He thinks human coffee is too bitter. See you later. She darted inside, silver hair swishing. Ella took a sip of her latte. Sweet, creamy, perfect, and headed for room 3. KL was already there, standing by the window, staring at the forest. He turned when she knocked, his teal eyes scanning her face. 2 minutes late, he said. Ella held up the latte. Alarm died, and my car almost didn't start. I brought proof I tried. He raised an eyebrow. Proof is a latte. Proof is, I'm here, Ella said, setting the latte on the table, far from the honey bowl safety manual, Rule 7, remember? Ready to, do the magic thing. Kel nodded. He closed his eyes, and the obsidian horn reappeared, glowing softly. Start when you're ready. Ella picked up the wand, her hand steadier than yesterday. She touched it to his horn, squeezed gently, and the teal glow flooded the crystal. This time, she didn't just feel the hum. She heard it, like a song, low and quiet, coming from the magic itself. Kale's shoulders relaxed, his breathing slowing, and for a second, Ella thought he might be smiling. Then the wand's glow flickered. Wait, Kyle said. His eyes snapped open. Stop. Ella pulled the wand away. The crystal was dim, almost grey. What's wrong? Is it red? Did I? No, Kale said. He stepped back, the horn vanishing. It's not you. The magic's off. Probably the storm last night. Disturbed the forest's energy. Should we try again? Ella asked. Kyle shook his head. No, it won't work. We'll reschedule for this afternoon. 3 p.m. Don't be late. Got it. 3 p.m. No latte-related delays. He almost smiled. Almost. Good. Until then, you can help Gareth with the other clients. He's struggling with Thorn. Thorn? Ella said. The dryad? Kale nodded. He's upset. His favourite maple tree got struck by lightning. Cries maple syrup? A lot. Ella's eyes widened. Maple syrup. Like real maple syrup? Real enough to sticky up the floors, Kale said. Good luck. He walked out of the room, leaving Ella staring at the closed door. Maple syrup tears. Great. Gareth was in room 5, muttering to himself while a tall, tree-like figure sat on a chair, sobbing. The dryad. Thorn had bark-like skin, leaves for hair, and eyes that looked like acorns. His tears were thick, golden, and dripping onto the floor, where they pooled into tiny puddles of maple syrup. See? Gareth said when Ella walked in. He won't stop. I've tried everything. Honey, pine needles, even a story about a squirrel. Nothing works. Thorn looked up, his voice trembling. My tree. It's gone. All my memories, the squirrels, the birds. Ella knelt down next to him. She pulled a tissue from her pocket. She'd learned to carry them after yesterday's honey incident, and handed it to him. I'm sorry about your tree, she said. That must hurt. A lot. Thorn took the tissue, dabbing at his eyes. The syrup soaked through instantly. It was my home. I've lived there for 500 years. We talked. It told me stories about the old days. Ella thought for a second. She remembered her grandma's maple tree. Back when she was a kid, she'd climb it every summer, read books in its branches. When it died, she'd cried for a week. I know what that's like, she said. My grandma had a maple tree. I used to climb it. When it died, I thought I'd never stop crying. But we planted a new one. It's not the same, but it's growing. Maybe you could plant a new tree. Thorn stopped crying. He stared at her, his acorn eyes wide. A new tree? Ella nodded. Yeah, you could tell it stories. The squirrels would come back, the birds too. It wouldn't replace your old tree, but it would be yours. Thorn was quiet for a minute. Then he smiled, slow, soft, his bark lips curving upward. A new tree, that's a good idea. Thank you, Ella. He stood up, the leaves in his hair rustling. I'll go find Kale. He knows where to get saplings. Thank you. Really. He walked out of the room, his steps lighter. Gareth stared at Ella, his mouth open. How did you do that? He said. I've been trying for an hour. Ella shrugged, wiping syrup off her jeans. I just listened. Sometimes that's all you need. Gareth shook his head. Cale was right about you. You're good at this. Ella's face warmed. Thanks. But don't tell him I said that. He'll get a big head. Gareth laughed. Oh, he already has. Now, let's clean up this syrup. And if you see Lyra, tell her to stop stealing the honey. Again. Ella spent the rest of the morning cleaning syrup, organising the wand, storage room. Turns out, there are different wands for different creatures, who knew? And avoiding Lyra, who kept trying to sneak her a secret cookie. Ella declined. Safety manual. Rule 7 was not worth breaking. At 2005 p.m, she headed for room 3. She'd stopped by the barista down the road and bought a latte for Cale oat milk, no sugar. Just like he'd mentioned, she'd heard him complaining to Gareth yesterday. She knocked on the door. Come in, Cale said. He was sitting on the rug by the window, reading a book. The Lord of the Rings, Ella noticed. He looked up when she walked in, his eyes flicking to the latte in her hand. What's that? He said. For you, Ella said, setting it on the table. Oat milk, no sugar. Heard you don't like bitter coffee. Cale stared at the latte. Then he stared at her. Why? Because you helped me yesterday, Ella said. And because I felt bad for being late. It's a peace offering, no strings attached. He picked up the latte, his fingers brushing the cup. I don't drink human coffee. Then don't, Ella said. But it's there if you want it. Now, ready to try the magic thing again? Cale set the latte down. He stood up, and the horn reappeared. Ready. Ella picked up the wand. This time, the teal glow was brighter, steadier. The hum was louder, almost a song, and Cale's eyes closed, his face soft. They stood like that for 15 minutes. Quiet, calm, the only sound the hum of magic and the wind outside. When the wand's glow faded, Cale's eyes opened and he smiled. A real smile. Small, but there. Good, he said. Very good. Ella's heart skipped a beat. Thanks. You're not so bad to work with. For a unicorn who hates humans. Kyle's ears turned pink. I don't hate humans. I just don't trust them. Fair, Ella said. She put the wand down. Thorn told me you're helping him plant a new tree. That's nice. He shrugged. It's the least I can do. The forest's my home too. Ella nodded. She looked at the latte, still untouched on the table. You should try it. The barista's really good. Kyle hesitated. Then he picked up the latte, took a sip. His eyes widened. Hayes' eyes widened. It's not terrible, he said. Ella grinned. Told you. I'm good at finding good coffee. And good trees. And, magic stuff. He laughed, a quiet, deep laugh. Ella's stomach flipped. Yeah, he said. You are. She left room 3 at 3:03 p.m., her latte in one hand, a smile on her face. Maybe working with shadow unicorns wasn't just a job. Maybe it was something more. Chapter 5. Honey jars, cat shelters, and accidental touches. By the end of Ella's first week at Thorn's Magical Services, she had a routine. Wake up at 7 a.m. New alarm clock, she'd bought it with her first paycheck, 280 cash, which felt like a fortune. Stop by the barista for 2 lattes. One for her, one for Cale oat milk, no sugar. Arrive at the barn at 8:45 a.m. Chat with Lyra, who still tried to steal honey, and Gareth, who still complained about Lyra stealing honey. Do Cale's energy guide session at 9 a.m. Help with other clients. Thorn was planting his new tree, Lyra was babysitting, the worm which meant letting it nap on her lap, and a new client, a centaur named Torin, had joined who loved to talk about ancient Greek poetry. It was nice, normal even, if normal included talking trees, coffee-drinking unicorns, and fox spirits who stole cookies. On Friday, Ella arrived at the barn to find a jar of honey on the porch with a note taped to it, for the cat shelter. Don't tell Gareth. No name. But the handwriting was messy, like someone had tried to write neatly and failed. And the honey was the same kind. Kyle ate every day, thick, golden, from his own bees. Ella smiled. She tucked the jar into her bag. She'd drop it off at the shelter after work and headed inside. Kyle was in room 3, already waiting. He was wearing a new flannel shirt, dark green this time, and his silver-streaked hair was tied back in a ponytail. Ella's heart did that stupid flip again. "Morning," she said, setting her latte on the table. "Got your coffee?" Kyle nodded. He took the latte, his fingers brushing hers. Ella's skin tingled. "Thanks," he said. He took a sip, his eyes closing. "Still not terrible." "High praise," Ella said, grinning. She picked up the wand. "Ready?" He nodded. The horn reappeared, glowing teal. "Start." Ella touched the wand to his horn. The magic hummed, warm and steady. She watched Kyle's face. His eyes closed, his jaw relaxed, and thought about the honey jar. About how he'd remembered she volunteered at the cat shelter. She'd mentioned it on Tuesday, in passing. About how he'd gone out of his way to help. "You're not as bad as you act," she said without thinking. Kyle's eyes opened. The magic flickered. "What?" "Nothing," Ella said quickly. "Just, the magic's good. Real good." He stared at her. Then he smiled. "You're talking about the honey." Ella's face warmed. "Maybe. You didn't have to do that. The shelter's my thing." "I know," Kale said. "But they need it. And you've been working hard. You deserve a break." "I'm getting paid," Ella said. "That's enough." "Not for what you do," Kale said. His voice was soft, quieter than usual. "You listen to Thorn. You don't yell at Lyra. You even put up with Gareth's complaining. Most humans wouldn't bother." Ella stared at him. No one had ever said that to her. Not her parents, who thought she was wasting her potential. Not her old bosses, who'd fired her for yelling at customers. No one. "Thanks," she said, her voice tight. "That means a lot." KL nodded. He closed his eyes again. "Keep going. The magic's almost done." Ella did. She focused on the hum, on the teal glow, on the way Kale's breathing slowed. When the wand's glow faded, she pulled it away, but her hand slipped. Her fingers brushed his horn. Kyle froze. Ella's eyes widened. "Oh no, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to." "It's okay," Kyle said quickly. He stepped back, the horn vanishing. His face was pink, from his cheeks to his ears. "It's fine. Accidents happen." "Are you sure?" Ella said. "Gareth said you kick." "I don't kick for accidents," Kale said. He picked up his latte, taking a big sip. "Just don't do it again. On purpose." "I won't," Ella said. She put the wand down, her hand shaking. "I'm really sorry." "It's fine," Kale said again, but he wasn't looking at her. He was staring at the window, his ears still pink. Ella cleared her throat. "Yeah, I should go. Gareth probably needs help with Torrin. The centaur. He loves poetry." "Right," Kale said. "Go." Ella walked out of the room, her heart racing. She'd touched his horn. Accidentally, and he hadn't kicked her. He blushed. Weird. But not bad, weird. Gareth was in the main barn, arguing with Torrin about Homer. "And the Odyssey is better than the Iliad," Gareth was saying, his clipboard waving in the air. "It has monsters. And ships. And a guy who takes 10 years to get home." Torrentul, with a horse's body and a human's upper half, wearing a toga, yes, a toga, shook his head. "The Iliad has passion. Honor. Achilles. You can't beat Achilles." Ella stepped between them. "Hey, Torrin, Garrett says you wanted to talk about Greek poetry." Torrin's face lit up, like, "Yes. Tell Gareth that the Iliad is superior. He's being stubborn." Gareth huffed. "I'm not stubborn. I'm right." Ella laughed. "How about we compromise? We read a little of both. After we finish organizing the wands." Torrin nodded. "Deal. But I'm still right." Gareth grumbled, but he agreed. Ella spent the rest of the morning organizing wands, listening to Torrin recite Homer. He had a great voice, deep, dramatic, and stealing glances at room 3. She didn't see KL again until lunch. He was sitting on the porch swing, eating a sandwich, turkey and cheese, on whole wheat bread. Human food. And drinking his latte. Ella hesitated, then walked over. Mind if I sit? She said. Kyle looked up. No, sit. Ella sat next to him. The swing creaked. They sat in silence for a minute, watching the forest. About earlier, Ella said. The horn. I'm really sorry. Cale finished his sandwich. I said it's fine. Accidents happen. Still, Ella said, I know you're weird about your stuff. He shrugged. It's not that I'm weird about it. It's personal. Unicorn horns are connected to our souls. Touching one is intimate. Ella's eyes widened. Oh, I didn't know. I'm so sorry. I would have never. Ella, Cale said, cutting her off. He turned to face her, his teal eyes soft. It was an accident. I know that. You don't have to apologize again. Okay, Ella said. She looked at her hands. Thanks for not kicking me. He laughed. I told you, I don't kick for accidents. Only for cookie thieves. Ella grinned. Good to know. So, turkey sandwich, you're really embracing human food. Kyle's ears turned pink. It's not bad. The deli down the road makes good ones. Best in town, Ella said. I used to go there every Saturday, before I got fired. He nodded. Gareth told me. About the coffee shop. Ella winced. Yeah? The muffin incident. Not my finest moment. The customer deserved it, Cale said. No one yells at someone over a muffin. Ella stared at him. You think so? Yes, he said. Muffins are meant to be enjoyed, not yelled about, and if she didn't like it, she should have left. Ella smiled. Thanks. No one else has said that. Everyone just said, I overreacted. You didn't, Cale said. He looked at his watch. I have a meeting with the Forest Council. I'll see you tomorrow. Ella nodded. Yeah? I am. No latte delays. He stood up, picking up his sandwich wrapper. Good. And Ella? She looked up. Yeah? He hesitated. Then he said, The honey. For the shelter. You're welcome. And with that, he walked into the forest, his boots crunching on the leaves. Ella sat on the porch swing, smiling like an idiot. Maybe this job wasn't just about the money. Maybe it was about something more. Maybe it was about honey jars, coffee, and shadow unicorns who blushed when you accidentally touched their horns. She stood up, grabbed her bag and the honey jar for the shelter, and headed to her car. Life was weird, but for the first time in a long time, it was weird in a good way. And she couldn't wait for tomorrow. Chapter 6. Worm, Chocolate Panic and Hidden Manuals. Ella's 6th day at Thorn's Magical Services started with a scream. Not a, someone's being attacked. Scream. A tiny magical creature ate something it shouldn't have. Scream. She was in the wand storage room, organizing the dryad-specific wands. They had little leaves carved into the wood cute, if you ignored the fact that they sometimes sprouted moss, when she heard it, high-pitched, panicked, coming from the break room. Lyra. Ella dropped the wand she was holding and sprinted down the hall. The break room door was ajar, and through the crack she saw Lyra kneeling on the floor, staring at a small, scaly creature curled into a ball. The worm. It was about the size of a house cat, with iridescent blue scales and tiny wings that fluttered weakly. Its eyes were half closed, and it was making a soft, whimpering sound, like a puppy with a stomachache. What happened? Ella said, dropping to her knees next to Lyra. I was eating a chocolate bar, Lyra said, her voice shaking. She held up an empty wrapper dark chocolate, 70% cacao. It jumped up and grabbed a piece. I tried to stop it, but it was too fast. Ella, is it gonna die? Ella's heart dropped. She remembered reading something about magical creatures and chocolate bad. Really bad. Especially for small ones like worms. The safety manual had a section on it, right? Somewhere. She scrambled to her feet. Where's Gareth? He must have a first aid kit. Gareth's in the forest with Thorn, Lyra said. He went to check on the maple sapling. And Cale's in his office, doing forest council stuff. Ella took a deep breath. Panic wouldn't help. She needed to think. The worm whimpered again, curling tighter. Ella knelt down, gently reaching out. Its scales were warm, almost hot. Too hot. A bad sign. "Hey, little guy," she said, softening her voice. "It's okay. I'm gonna help you." She closed her eyes, trying to remember the safety manual. Worm emergency. If a worm ingests toxic substances, chocolate, garlic, human candy, apply a cold compress to its belly and administer a drop of diluted honey water. Then use a low-level calming spell to steady its magic. Diluted honey water. Calming spell. She had honey in her bag. Kyle had given her a small jar for the shelter, but she'd forgotten to drop it off. And the calming spell, Kale had shown her a basic one during their energy guide sessions, just in case the magic gets jumpy. Ella rummaged through her bag, pulling out the honey jar. She grabbed a paper cup from the break room counter, poured a little water into it, and added a drop of honey. Then she dipped her finger in the mixture, gently touching it to the worm's mouth. It licked it, weakly. "Good," Ella said. She tore off a piece of her flannel shirt, "Sorry, Dad," and soaked it in cold water from the sink. She carefully laid it over the worm's belly. Now, the spell. She closed her eyes, focusing on the hum of magic she'd felt during Kale's sessions. She held her hand over the worm, whispering the words Kyle had taught her. "Luna's light, calm the flame. Steady the magic, ease the pain." For a second, nothing happened. Then, faintly, a teal glow emanated from her palm. It wrapped around the worm like a blanket. The worm's whimpering stopped. Its wings stopped fluttering. It uncurled a little, looking up at Ella with big, shiny eyes. "It's working," Lyra said, grinning. Ella let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. "Thank God. I thought I was going to have to explain to Kale that I killed his favorite worm." Speak of the devil. The break room door opened. Kale stood in the doorway, his teal eyes scanning the room. Lyra on the floor, Ella kneeling over the worm, the chocolate wrapper on the counter. His jaw tightened. "What happened?" he said. Lyra shrank back. I gave it chocolate, by accident. But Ella fixed it. She used the calming spell you taught her." Kale's gaze shifted to Ella. His eyes softened, just a little. "You remembered the spell?" Ella nodded, her hands still shaking. "And the honey water, from the safety manual. I didn't mean to." "You did well," Kyle said, cutting her off. He knelt down next to her, gently lifting the worm into his hands. It nuzzled his palm, still weak but clearly better. Worms are stubborn. They love human food, even when it's bad for them. He stood up, holding the worm carefully. "I'll take it to my office. Keep an eye on it. Ella, come with me. I need to check your toolkit." Ella followed him down the hall, her heart racing. Was he mad? He didn't sound mad, but his face was hard to read. Kale's office was small, with a desk covered in papers, Forest Council reports mostly, and a bookshelf filled with magical creature books. He set the worm on a soft blanket on the desk, then turned to Ella. "Your toolkit," he said. "Bring it here." Ella handed it to him. He opened it, rummaging through the contents: wand, gloves, water bottle, the honey jar, a few tissues. Then he pulled out a small, leather-bound book, tucked into the side pocket. Ella's eyes widened. It was a tiny manual, titled Worm Emergency Care for Dummies, Human Edition. The cover had a drawing of a worm eating a cookie, with a red line through it. "I put it there on Wednesday," Kale said, closing the toolkit. "Figured you'd need it. Worms are trouble." Ella stared at him. He'd thought ahead. Her. You did that for me," she said. Kale's ears turned pink. "Don't get used to it. I just didn't want to have to explain to the worm's mother why my new tech killed her kid." Ella smiled. "Sure, just didn't want to explain." "Got it." He glared at her, but there was no heat in it. "The worm will be fine. It just needs to rest. You can go back to organizing wands. Or whatever you were doing." "Okay," Ella said. She turned to leave, then stopped. "Hey, Kale. Thanks for the manual, and for not yelling." Kyle shrugged. "Don't mess up again. And tell Lyra to keep her chocolate away from the worm, or I'll ban her from the break room." Ella laughed. "Will do." She walked out of his office, her heart lighter than before. He cared, even if he didn't want to admit it. Maybe this job was going to be better than she ever thought. Chapter 7. Toolkit Repairs and Silent. By lunchtime, the worm was back to normal, zooming around Cale's office, stealing paper clips and trying to climb his bookshelf. Cale had sent a message to Gareth via Lyra, who'd insisted on being the messenger that the crisis was averted, and Gareth had replied with a single word, good. Don't let Lyra near chocolate again. Ella was in the main barn, cleaning her wand. It had gotten sticky from the honey water when Cale walked in. He was holding her toolkit, his face neutral. Need to fix this, he said, holding up the kit. The strap was frayed, and one of the zippers was broken. Gareth has a sewing kit in his office. Come on. Ella followed him to Gareth's office, smaller than Cale's, cluttered with clipboards and tiny goblin-sized furniture. Cale pulled a wooden box from under the desk, opening it to reveal a sewing kit, thread, needles, scissors, and a tiny thimble, Gareth's size. Sit, he said, pointing to a chair. He sat on the edge of Gareth's desk, setting the toolkit on his lap. Ella sat, watching him. He threaded a needle with dark blue thread matching the colour of the toolkit and started sewing the frayed strap. His hands were big, calloused, but surprisingly steady. He didn't look at her, focusing on the needle and thread. You know how to sew? Ella said, breaking the silence. Cale nodded. Learned it from my mother. Unicorn horns break easily when you're a kid. She taught me to fix my own saddle, my own clothes. Said if you can't fix it, you don't deserve it. Ella smiled. My grandma taught me to sew. She said the same thing, except she was talking about my doll's dresses. Cale's lips twitched. Doll's dresses. Cute. Hey, Ella said, mock offended. Those dolls had fashion sense. You should have seen the ball gown I made for my princess doll. It had lace. Cale laughed, quiet but real. I'll bet it was beautiful. Ella's face warmed. Thanks. She loved it. Until my little brother used it as a cape for his action figure. Cale finished sewing the strap, then moved to the broken zipper. He picked up a small pair of pliers from the desk, gently wiggling the zipper back into place. You're good at this, Ella said. He shrugged. Practice. Fixing things is easier than dealing with people. Tell me about it, Ella said. My car's held together with duct tape and hope. I tried to fix the windshield wipers last week, and I ended up breaking the radio. Cale raised an eyebrow. You broke the radio? Hey, it's not my fault. The wipers were stuck. I pulled too hard. He smiled. Bring your car by the barn on Sunday. I'll fix it. For you? Ella's eyes widened. Really? You know how to fix cars? I've watched humans fix them, Cale said. It's not that hard. Just metal and wires. Like a giant, noisy wand. Ella laughed. Okay? Sunday. I'll bring it. But if you break it worse, I'm blaming you. Fair, he said. He closed the toolkit, tossing it to her. All fixed. Don't break it again. Ella caught it, running her fingers over the sewn strap. It was neat, sturdy, better than new. Thanks, she said. Really, I appreciate it. Cale nodded. He stood up, stepping toward the door. Lunch is in the break room. Gareth brought sandwiches. Turkey and cheese. No chocolate. Got it. No chocolate. Thanks for the heads up. He paused at the door. Ella? Yeah? You did good with the worm. But not just the spell. The way you stayed calm. Most humans would have panicked. Ella's heart skipped a beat. Thanks. I just did what I had to. Cale nodded. Then he left, closing the door behind him. Ella sat in Gareth's office, holding the toolkit. She smiled down at it, running her fingers over the sewn strap. He praised her. Not just, you didn't mess up, but you did good. It was a small thing, but for Ella, for someone who'd spent months feeling like she was failing at everything, it meant the world. She stood up, heading for the break room. Turkey and cheese sandwiches sounded good. And maybe, if she was lucky, Lyra had saved her a chip. Life was weird, but for the first time in a long time, it was weird in a good way. Chapter 8. Grocery Store. Encounters and fertilizer fluster. Sunday morning was sunny rare for Bramblewood, which usually rained at least 3 days a week. Ella woke up early, grabbed her keys, and headed to her car. It was parked on the street outside her apartment, its windshield wipers still stuck on fast, its radio silent. She sighed. Let's hope Cale knows what he's doing. The drive to the barn was short 20 minutes if her car didn't sputter too much. When she arrived, Cale was already waiting, leaning against the porch rail, wearing a flannel shirt, surprise, and work boots, his black hair tied back in a ponytail. Took you long enough, he said, pushing off the rail. Sorry, Ella said. My car's a piece of junk. It took 3 tries to start. Cale walked over to the car, popping the hood. He leaned down, staring at the engine. His silver-streaked hair fell over his face, and Ella had to resist the urge to tuck it back. Spark plugs are bad, he said, straightening up, and the wiper motor's loose. I have parts in my garage. Should take an hour. An hour? Ella said. I thought it would take longer. You are a better mechanic than I am. Cale's ears turned pink. I told you. It's just metal and wires. He led her to his garage, attached to the barn, filled with tools, a workbench, and a few spare parts, including a spare unicorn horn, which Ella tried not to stare at. He grabbed a toolbox, then turned to her. Need to go to the grocery store first, he said. Need fertilizer for Thorn's maple sapling. It's not growing as fast as it should. Ella raised an eyebrow. You're going to buy human fertilizer for a magical maple tree? Cale shrugged. Thorn says it works. Something about human nutrients being different. Come on. We can go now, then fix your car when we get back. Ella nodded. Okay, let's go. I need to buy milk anyway. My fridge is empty. Cale's car was nothing like Ella's. It was a black pickup truck, clean, with a toolbox in the back and a sticker on the window that said, IY, my worm. Cute sticker, Ella said, sliding into the passenger seat. Cale glared at her. It was a gift. From the worm's mother. Sure, Ella said, grinning. The grocery store was in downtown Bramblewood, a small, family-owned place with a sign that said, Mabel's Groceries, we have everything, even unicorn food. The bell above the door jingled when they walked in, and a woman behind the counter. Mabel presumably looked up, smiling. Cale, long time no see, she said. How's the worm? Still stealing your paperclips? Still stealing paperclips, Cale said. He nodded at Ella. This is Ella. My new tech. Mabel's eyes widened. Human tech. Wow, you must be good. Cale doesn't let just anyone touch his horn. Ella's face warmed. We just do Energy Guide. Nothing else. Mabel winked. Sure, just Energy Guide. I've heard that one before. Cale cleared his throat. We need fertilizer. For Thorn's maple sapling. Fertilizer's in aisle 3, Mabel said. And Ella, if you need milk, it's in the cooler by the door. Fresh this morning. Thanks, Ella said. They walked down the aisles, Cale leading the way. The store was small, cozy, with shelves lined with human food and a few magical creature items. Honey in jars labelled for unicorns only, dried meat for centaurs, and a bag of worm treats, chocolate-free, thank God. Here, Cale said, stopping in front of a shelf of fertilizer. There were a dozen different kinds. Organic, synthetic, slow-release, fast-acting. He picked up a bag of organic fertilizer, reading the label. Thorn said to get organic, he said. Synthetic's bad for magical trees. Ella leaned over, reading the label. This one's good. My grandma used it for her roses. They grew like crazy. Cale nodded. He put the bag in the cart, then paused. He picked up another bag, fast-acting, and frowned. Would this work, he said. The sapling's small. Maybe it needs a boost. Ella laughed. Cale, it's a tree, not a racehorse. Slow and steady wins the race. He put the fast-acting bag back. Right. Slow and steady. Mabel walked down the aisle, carrying a crate of apples. She smiled when she saw them. Finding everything okay? Yep, Cale said. Just getting organic fertilizer for Thorn's tree. Mabel nodded. Good choice. That stuff's magic for maples. Even magical ones. She winked at Ella. Kale's been worrying about that tree for weeks. Checks on it every day. Says it's too small. Kale's ears turned pink. I do not. I just check on it once in a while. Mabel laughed. Sure, once in a while. Ella, you better keep an eye on him. He's a softie under that tough unicorn act. Ella smiled. I'll keep that in mind. They finished their shopping fertilizer for Kale, milk and bread for Ella, and headed to the checkout. Mabel rang them up, chatting the whole time. Ella, how do you like Bramblewood? She said. It's a small town, but we're nice. Mostly. I love it, Ella said. Everyone's been really welcoming, and the forest is beautiful. Kale takes good care of it, Mabel said. Been protecting this forest for 50 years. Even when humans try to cut it down. Kale cleared his throat. Mabel, we need to go. Okay, Mabel said. She handed Ella her milk. Come back soon, Ella. And Kale, stop by for pie later. I made apple. Thanks, Mabel, Kale said. He grabbed the fertilizer, heading for the door. Ella followed him, smiling. Softie under the tough act, huh? Kale glared at her. Shut up. But he was smiling. The drive back to the barn was quiet, but not awkward. Ella stared out the window, watching the forest go by, and Kale hummed a soft tune, something old, something magical. When they arrived, Kale got to work on her car. Ella sat on the porch swing, drinking a soda, watching him. He was focused, his brow furrowed, his hands moving quickly. It was nice, watching him do something normal, something human. Maybe Mabel was right. Maybe he was a softie. And maybe, just maybe, Ella was starting to like that softie. Chapter 9. Cat Shelter Falser, an accidental arm touches. By 2 p.m., Kale had fixed Ella's car. The windshield wipers worked, the radio played something country which Ella could live with, and the engine purred like a happy cat. It's like a new car, Ella said, turning the key. Don't get used to it, Kale said. It's still a piece of junk. Just a fixed piece of junk. Ella laughed. Thanks. I owe you one. Kale shrugged. You can buy me a latte tomorrow. Oat milk, no sugar. Deal, Ella said. She checked her phone. Hey, do you have plans for the rest of the day? Kyle shook his head. No. Why? I volunteer at the cat shelter downtown, Ella said. They need help with the kittens. Would you want to come? It's not much. Just feeding them, cleaning their cages. But it's fun. Kale's eyes widened. Cats. You want me to go to a cat shelter? Ella nodded. Yeah? They're cute. Most of them are kittens, and they're not magical. Just regular cats. Kale hesitated. He stared at his boots, then at Ella. I don't like cats. Ella raised an eyebrow. You don't like cats? Why? They're weird, Kale said. They stare at you, and they scratch, and they don't listen. Ella laughed. That's every cat. But they're also cuddly. And they purr. You'll like them, I promise. Kale thought for a minute, then he sighed. Fine. But if a cat scratches me, I'm blaming you. Yes, Ella said. Let's go. The shelter closes at 5. The cat shelter was a small, cozy building on the edge of downtown, with a sign that said, Bramblewood Cat Rescue. When they walked in, a woman with grey hair. Marge, the owner, looked up, smiling. Ella, you're early, she said. She nodded at Kale. And you brought a friend. Nice to meet you. Kale, he said, holding out his hand. Marge shook it. Marge, owner of this chaos, she said. She pointed to a room in the back. Kittens are in there. Food's on the counter, and Ella. We have a new one, a tabby. She's shy, so go slow. Got it, Ella said. They walked into the kitten room. It was filled with cages, each holding a tiny kitten, black, white, orange tabby. They mewed, reaching their paws through the bars, begging for attention. Ella's face lit up. Look at them. They're so cute. Kale stood in the doorway, staring. He looked like he was about to bolt. Come on, Ella said, grabbing his arm. It's okay. They won't hurt you. He let her pull him into the room. A tiny orange kitten reached through the bars, touching his boot. Kyle froze. "See?" Ella said. "He likes you." The kitten mewed, climbing onto his boot. Kyle stared at it, his eyes wide. "It's small." "Yep," Ella said. "He's a baby. Just a few weeks old." She grabbed a bag of kitten food from the counter, pouring some into a bowl. She held it out to Kale. "Feed him." "Go on." Kale hesitated, then took the bowl. He knelt down, setting it on the floor. The orange kitten jumped off his boot, eating greedily. "He's hungry," Kale said softly. "Yep," Ella said. She knelt down next to him. "Most of them are. They were found on the street." Kale nodded. He watched the kitten eat, his face softening. "He's cute." "I told you," Ella said. They spent the next hour feeding the kittens, cleaning their cages, and playing with them. Kale, much to Ella's surprise, was a natural. He talked to the kittens in a soft voice, gently petting them, and even let a tiny tabby, the shy one Marge had mentioned, curl up in his lap. "She likes you," Ella said, sitting next to him. Kale nodded, staring at the tabby. "She's quiet. Not like the others." "Just shy," Ella said. She reached over, petting the tabby's head. Her hand brushed Kale's arm. He froze. Ella froze. For a second, neither of them moved. The tabby purred, curling tighter into Kale's lap. The other kittens mewed in the background. The air felt warm, thick. Ella pulled her hand away, her face warm. "Sorry, accidentally." Kale nodded. He didn't look at her. "It's okay." They finished cleaning the cages in silence. When they were done, Marge walked in, smiling. "You two are naturals," she said. "Kyle, you should come back. The kittens love you." Kale's ears turned pink. "Maybe, sometime." They said goodbye to Marge, walking out of the shelter. The sun was setting, painting the sky pink and orange. "Thanks for coming," Ella said. "I had fun." Kale nodded. "Me too. The kittens weren't that bad." Ella smiled. "Told you. You're a cat person." "I am not," Kale said. But he was smiling. They walked to Kale's truck. Ella stopped, turning to him. "Hey, Kale," she said. "Yeah? Thanks. For today, for fixing my car, for coming to the shelter. It meant a lot." Kale stared at her. Then he said, "You're welcome. Ella." He said her name like it was something special, like it mattered. Ella's heart skipped a beat. "Good night," she said. "Good night," Kale said. She got into her car, turning the key. It started on the first try. She waved at Kale, then drove away. He stood on the sidewalk, watching her go. Ella smiled to herself. Maybe she was more than just his tech. Maybe he was more than just her boss. Maybe they were something else. Something better. Chapter 10. Honey Cookies and Fingertip Sparks. Friday came faster than Ella expected. By the end of her first 2 weeks at Thorn's Magical Services, she felt like she belonged. She knew how to handle the wands, how to calm down a panicky dryad, how to keep Lyra away from the honey, and how to make Kale laugh. It usually involved teasing him about the kittens. Her car was fixed, her student loan payment was made, and she'd even moved into a new apartment. Small, but dry, with a porch where she could drink her morning latte. Life was good. On Friday afternoon, she finished Kyle's energy guide session, putting the wand back in her toolkit. The teal glow had been bright, steady. Kale's magic was calm, balanced. "All done," Ella said. She turned to leave, then stopped. "Hey, Kale, do you have plans tonight? I was going to order pizza. You're welcome to come. My new apartment has a couch. And I have Netflix." Kale hesitated. He stared at his hands, then at Ella. I have to check on the worm, and Thorn's maple tree." Ella nodded. "Oh, okay. Maybe another time." "Maybe," Kale said. He walked to his desk, picking up a small brown paper bag. He held it out to her. "For you." Ella took it, confused. "What is it?" "Honey cookies," Kale said. His ears turned pink. "I baked them this morning. They're not sweet. No extra sugar, just honey." Ella's eyes widened. "You baked me cookies?" Kale nodded. Don't get used to it. I just had extra honey, and I remembered you like sweet things. Ella opened the bag. The cookies smelled like honey and cinnamon, warm and cozy. She took one, biting into it. It was soft, slightly sweet, perfect. These are amazing, she said. Thanks, Kale. Really? He nodded. You're welcome. Now go, before Lyra steals them. Ella laughed. She put the bag in her toolkit, then turned to leave. She reached for the door handle, and her fingers brushed Kale's. He'd been reaching for the door too. For a second, nothing happened. Then, faintly, a teal spark jumped between their fingers. Ella's eyes widened. Kyle's did too. What was that? Ella said. Kale pulled his hand away, his face pink. Play. Magic. From the energy guide. It sometimes lingers. Ella nodded. She stared at her fingers, where the spark had been. It had felt like electricity. Like something more. I should go, she said. Okay, Kale said. She walked out of the room, her heart racing. The honey cookies in her toolkit felt like a secret. A good secret. Outside, the sun was setting. Lyra was leaning against the porch rail, eating a granola bar. She grinned when she saw Ella. Did he give you the cookies? She said. Ella's face warmed. How did you know? Kale's been baking all morning, Lyra said. Gareth caught him burning the first batch. He was so mad. Said humans have terrible taste in cookies. But he kept trying. For you. Ella smiled. He did. Lyra nodded. He likes you, Ella. Likes you. Everyone can see it. Even Thorn. And he's a tree. Ella laughed. Shut up. But she was smiling. She got into her car, turning the key. It started on the first try. She pulled out of the barn's parking lot, waving at Lyra. As she drove away, she looked in the rearview mirror. Kale was standing on the porch, watching her go. Ella smiled to herself. Maybe Lyra was right. Maybe he did like her. And maybe, just maybe, she liked him too. She took a cookie from the bag, biting into it. It was sweet, warm, perfect. Life was weird, but for the first time in a long time, it was weird in the best way possible. And she couldn't wait for Monday. Chapter 11. Pizza nights and apartment tours. Monday morning felt different. Ella woke up with a smile, grabbed her flannel shirt, now washed, the honey stain gone, and headed to the barista for 2 lattes. Oat milk, no sugar for Kale, vanilla oat milk for herself. When she arrived at the barn, Kyle was already in room 3, leaning against the window, his teal eyes bright. Morning, he said, taking the latte from her. His fingers brushed hers, and Ella felt that familiar tingle. Morning, she said, grinning. Did you miss me? Kale's ears turned pink. Don't be ridiculous. I just didn't want to drink Gareth's terrible coffee. Ella laughed. Sure, didn't want Gareth's coffee. Got it. Their energy guide session was quiet, calm. The teal glow of the wand matched Kale's eyes, and when Ella pulled away, he didn't immediately turn away. He stared at her like he was waiting for something. Hey, Ella said, before she could overthink it. My new apartment's all set up. I was thinking, pizza tonight? I owe you for fixing my car, and the cookies, and the honey. And, okay, Kale said, cutting her off. He looked surprised, like he hadn't expected her to ask again. I'll come. What time? 7 p.m., Ella said. I'll text you the address. Good, he said. He picked up his latte, taking a sip. Don't order pineapple. It doesn't belong on pizza. Ella gasped. Pineapple is delicious on pizza. You're just being a snob. Pineapple is a fruit, Kale said. Fruit doesn't go on pizza. Cheese, pepperoni, maybe mushrooms. Not pineapple. We'll get half pepperoni, half pineapple, Ella said. Compromise. Kale sighed. Fine. But if it's terrible, I'm blaming you. Deal, Ella said. The rest of the day flew by. Ella helped Thorn water his maple sapling. It was growing, slowly but surely, stopped Lyra from stealing honey from the break room, and listened to Torrin recite a new poem about star-crossed lovers. He winked to Ella and Kale the whole time. At 6,000 p.m., Ella left the barn, heading to her new apartment. It was a small, one-bedroom on the second floor of an old house, with a porch that looked out at a park. She decorated it with thrifted furniture. A wooden bookshelf filled with her history books, a couch with a crocheted blanket, her grandma's, and a wall covered in photos. Her at the cat shelter, the worm napping on Kale's desk, a picture of her grandma's maple tree. She ordered the pizza half pepperoni, half pineapple, and set out plates and napkins on the coffee table. Her phone buzzed at 6:05 p.m. From Kyle, I'm outside. Ella's heart raced. She smoothed her shirt, took a deep breath, and opened the door. Kale stood on the porch, holding a small potted plant, a tiny maple sapling, its leaves bright green. He looked nervous, his hands fidgeting with the pot. I saw it at the grocery store, he said, holding it out. Thought it would look nice on your porch. Ella took it, her face warm. It's perfect. Thanks, Kale. Come in. He stepped inside, his boots tapping on the wooden floor. He looked around, his eyes scanning the bookshelf, the photos, the blanket on the couch. Nice place, he said. Better than your old one. Ella laughed. That's not hard. My old apartment had a leaky roof and a mouse problem. Kale nodded. He stopped in front of the photo wall, pointing to the picture of the worm. He's been stealing my paper clips again. I found one in my coffee this morning. Ella grinned. Serves you right. You should keep better track of your office supplies. The doorbell rang pizza. Ella paid the delivery guy, then set the box on the coffee table. She opened it, holding up a pineapple slice. Try it, she said. You'll like it. Kale hesitated, then took the slice. He took a bite, his eyes widening. It's not terrible, he said. Ella cheered. I told you, pineapple belongs on pizza. They ate pizza on the couch, watching a movie. The Princess Bride, Ella's favourite. Kale laughed at Inigo Montoya's lines, and Ella smiled when he quoted, Hello. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. Under his breath. When the movie ended, Ella stood up to clean the plates. Kale stood too, taking the plates from her. I'll do it, he said. You're the host. Ella nodded, sitting back down. She watched him in the kitchen, his broad shoulders, his hands moving carefully as he washed the plates. He looked at home here, in her tiny apartment, doing something so normal. Kale finished washing the plates, drying his hands on a towel. He walked back to the living room, sitting next to her on the couch. The distance between them was small. Close enough that Ella could smell his honey shampoo. Close enough that she could feel the heat from his body. Thanks for tonight, Kale said, his voice soft. I had fun. Me too, Ella said. You should come over more often. I make a mean grilled cheese. Kale smiled. I'd like that. He leaned in, just a little. Ella's heart raced. She leaned in too. Then her phone buzzed. It was a text from Lyra. Hey. Did Kale kiss you yet? Gareth and I are betting he doesn't have the guts. Ella laughed, showing Kale the text. His face turned bright red. I'm going to kill her, he said. Ella grinned. Gah. Don't. She's just having fun. Kale shook his head, but he was smiling. I should go. It's late. Okay, Ella said. She walked him to the door. He paused, turning to her. Ella? Yeah? Thanks. For everything. The pizza. The movie. The apartment. It's nice to feel normal. Ella's heart softened. You're welcome, Kale. Anytime. He leaned in, pressing a quick kiss to her cheek. Then he was gone, closing the door behind him. Ella touched her cheek, smiling like an idiot. He'd kissed her. On the cheek. It was a small thing, but it meant everything. Chapter 12. Maple Tree. Picnics and poetry. Tease's Thorn's maple sapling had grown faster than anyone expected. By the end of the week, it was a foot taller, its leaves bright green, its branches strong enough to hold a small swing. Lyra had insisted on hanging it, even though Thorn had protested that trees don't need swings. To celebrate, Thorn had invited everyone to a picnic in the forest. Ella, Kale, Lyra, Gareth, Torrin, even the worm who'd insisted on sitting in Kale's lap. Ella arrived with a basket of sandwiches, turkey and cheese, Kale's favourite, and a container of potato salad. Kale was already there, helping Thorn set up a blanket. He waved when he saw her, his teal eyes bright. "Nice of you to finally show up," he said. Ella rolled her eyes. "I had to stop Lyra from stealing the potato salad," she said. "It smells like happiness." Cale laughed. He took the basket from her, setting it on the blanket. "Come on." Thorn made maple syrup cookies. "They're better than mine." Ella's face warmed. "I doubt that." They sat on the blanket, surrounded by their friends. Lyra was chasing the worm. Gareth was complaining about the noisy humans, and Torrin was reciting a poem about maple trees. "This one's for you two," Torrin said, grinning. He cleared his throat, his voice dramatic. "Beneath the maple's green embrace, two souls find their resting place. Honey sweet and coffee warm, their love will weather every storm." Ella's face turned red. Kyle's ears were pink. "Torrin," Ella said. "Stop," Torrin laughed. "What? It's true. Everyone can see it. Even Gareth." Gareth looked up from his sandwich. "See what? I'm just here for the cookies." Lyra plopped down next to Ella, grinning. "He's right, you know. You two are so into each other. When are you gonna kiss?" "Lyra," Cale said. "Mind your own business." Lyra winked. "Make me." Thorn smiled, passing Ella a maple syrup cookie. "Ignore them. They're just jealous. Now try the cookie. I made it with sap from the new tree." Ella took a bite. It was sweet, rich, perfect. "This is amazing, Thorn." "Thanks." Cale took a cookie too, nodding. "It's good." "Better than yours, Ella." Ella gasped. "My cookies are good." "Yours are sweet," Cale said. "His are better." Ella crossed her arms. "Fine. I'll make better cookies. Just you wait." Cale smiled. "I'm looking forward to it." They spent the afternoon eating, laughing, and watching the worm chase butterflies. When the sun started to set, Thorn stood up, his leaves rustling. "Thank you all for coming," he said. "This tree means a lot to me. And it's nice to have friends to share it with." Ella smiled. "We're glad to be here, Thorn." They packed up the picnic, saying goodbye to Thorn and Torrin. Lyra and Gareth left first, Lyra winking at Ella as she went. Ella and Cale walked back to the barn together, the forest quiet around them. The only sounds were their boots on the leaves and the wind in the trees. "Nice picnic," Ella said. Kyle nodded. "Yeah?" Torrin's poem was interesting. Ella laughed. "You mean embarrassing?" "Because it was. So embarrassing." Cale stopped, turning to her. "It wasn't embarrassing. It was nice to be seen with you." Ella's heart raced. "Really?" Cale nodded. He reached out, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. His fingers brushed her cheek, and Ella leaned into his touch. "I like you, Ella," he said, his voice soft. "A lot." Ella's breath caught. "I like you too, Cale." He leaned in, his lips just inches from hers. Then the worm zoomed past them, chasing a firefly. Kyle laughed, pulling away. "Maybe next time," he said. Ella smiled. "Maybe next time." They walked the rest of the way to the barn in silence, their hands brushing every so often. Ella went to bed that night with a smile on her face. Maybe Torrin's poem wasn't so bad after all. Chapter 13. Lyra's Slip-Up and Ella's Doubt. Wednesday started with a storm. Rain poured down, lightning flashed, and thunder boomed. Ella's car sputtered on the way to the barn, but it made it, thanks to Cale's repairs. When she walked in, Lyra was sitting on the porch swing, eating a granola bar, her silver hair wet from the rain. "Hey," Lyra said. "Cale's in a mood. Storm's messing with his magic." Ella nodded. "I'll go check on him." She found Cale in room 3, pacing back and forth. His horn was visible, glowing faintly red. A bad sign. He stopped when he saw her, his teal eyes wide. "Sorry," he said, the horn vanishing. "I didn't hear you come in." Lyra said. "The storm's messing with your magic," Ella said. "You okay?" Cale nodded. "Just jumpy. Storms remind me of something." Ella sat on the rug next to him. "Want to talk about it?" Cale hesitated. Then he sighed. "When I was younger, a storm hit the forest. A human came, said he needed help. His car was stuck. I helped him, fed him honey, fixed his car. Then he stole my horn shard. Sold it to a warlock, hurt a lot of forest creatures. Ella's heart dropped. I'm so sorry, Kale. That's terrible. Kale shrugged. It was a long time ago. I just don't trust humans. Not easily. Ella nodded. She thought about her old boss, who'd fired her for standing up for herself. Her parents, who thought she was wasting her life. The customer who'd yelled at her over a muffin. She knew what it was like to be betrayed by someone you trusted. I get it, she said. Humans can be terrible. But not all of us. I hope you know that. Kale looked at her. His eyes were soft. I know. You're different. Ella's heart warmed. Thanks. They sat in silence for a minute, listening to the rain. Then Kale stood up. We should do the energy guide. Before the magic gets worse. Ella nodded, picking up the wand. The session was tense. Kale's magic was jumpy, the teal glow flickering. When Ella pulled away, he looked exhausted. Rest, Ella said. I'll handle the other clients today. Kale nodded. Thanks, Ella. I owe you. Ella smiled. You can buy me a latte tomorrow. Oat milk, no sugar. Kale laughed. Deal. Ella spent the rest of the day helping Lyra with the worm, who was scared of the thunder, and Thorn, who was worried about his maple tree. When she took a break for lunch, Lyra sat next to her, grinning. Did Kale tell you about the human who betrayed him? Lyra said, taking a bite of her sandwich. Ella nodded. Yeah? It's terrible. Lyra sighed. He's never been the same. After that, he stopped trusting anyone, even other magical creatures. But he trusts you. That's big. Ella smiled. Really? Yep, Lyra said. He talks about you. A lot. Ella made cookies. Ella helped the worm. Ella likes pineapple on pizza. It's cute. Ella's face warmed. He does? Lyra nodded. He's scared, though. Scared you'll hurt him. Like that other human did. Ella's smile faded. I would never hurt him. You know that, right? Of course I do, Lyra said. But Kale, he needs time. Just be patient with him. Ella nodded. She thought about Kyle's soft smile, his honey cookies, his kiss on the cheek. She thought about the way he'd fixed her car, the way he'd come to the cat shelter, the way he'd held the tabby kitten. She would be patient. For him. But later that afternoon, Ella was in the break room making a cup of coffee when she heard Lyra and Gareth talking. He's just using her, Gareth said. You know that. He needs a human tech to get close to the Forest Council. She's just a tool. Lyra sighed. You're wrong. He likes her. Likes her? Gareth said. He doesn't like anyone. Not after what happened. He's using her. And when he's done, he'll break her heart. Ella froze. She dropped her coffee mug, the ceramic shattering on the floor. Gareth and Lyra looked up. Lyra's face turned white. Ella, she said, it's not what you think. Ella ran out of the break room, her eyes stinging. She didn't stop until she reached her car. She got in, turning the key, and drove away. Gareth was right. Kyle was using her. He didn't trust her. He never had. She was just a tool. A human tech. Nothing more. Ella cried the whole way home. Chapter 14. Cold Shoulders and Hidden Herbs. Ella didn't go to work on Thursday. She texted Gareth, I'm sick. Won't be in. She stayed in bed all day, watching movies and eating ice cream. Her phone buzzed multiple times. Texts from KL, Lyra, even Thorn. She ignored them all. Gareth's words played in her head. He's using her. She's just a tool. She thought about Kale's honey cookies, his kiss on the cheek, his, you're different. Had it all been a lie? Had he just been using her to get close to the Forest Council? To get something he wanted? Ella's heart hurt. She'd let herself trust him. Let herself like him. And now she felt stupid. On Friday, Ella dragged herself out of bed. She had to go to work. She needed the money. She put on her oldest flannel shirt, her hair in a messy bun, and headed to the barn. The atmosphere was tense when she arrived. Lyra was waiting for her, her face guilty. Ella, she said, I'm so sorry. Gareth was wrong. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Save it, Ella said, walking past her. I have work to do. She found Kel in room 3, his face worried. You didn't come yesterday. Are you okay? I'm fine, Ella said, her voice cold. She picked up the wand. Let's get this over with. Kael's face fell. He didn't say anything, just closed his eyes, his horn reappearing. The energy guide session was silent. The teal glow was dim, flickering. When Ella pulled away, she didn't look at him. I'll handle the other clients, she said, turning to leave. Ella, Kael said. What's wrong? Did I do something? Ella froze. She wanted to yell at him. Ask him if he was using her. Ask him if any of it was real. But she didn't. She just shook her head. Nothing, she said. I'm just tired. She walked out of the room, leaving Kael alone. The rest of the day was miserable. Ella avoided Kael, working with Thorn and Torrent instead. Lyra tried to talk to her, but Ella ignored her. Gareth didn't even try. He just stared at his clipboard, his face guilty. When it was time to leave, Ella grabbed her toolkit and headed for the door. Kael was waiting for her, leaning against the porch rail. Ella, he said, we need to talk. I don't have anything to say to you, Ella said, walking past him. Kael grabbed her arm, stopping her. Or, please, tell me what's wrong. Did someone say something? Did Lyra? Let go of me, Ella said, pulling away. Her eyes were stinging. Just leave me alone. She got into her car, driving away. She didn't look in the rearview mirror. That night, Ella was sitting on her porch, drinking a glass of wine, when she heard a knock on her door. She opened it, expecting Lyra. It was Kael. He was holding a small bag of herbs, his face worried. I heard you were sick. These are for you. They help with colds. And stress. Ella stared at him. You didn't have to. I wanted to, Kael said. He held out the bag. Or, please, take them. Ella took the bag, her hand shaking. Thanks. Kael nodded. He stood there, like he wanted to say something else. Then he turned to leave. Kael, Ella said, stopping him. Did you ever trust me? Or was I just a tool? Kael's face turned white. What? No. Ella, Gareth said you're using me, Ella said. To get close to the Forest Council. To get something you want. Is that true? Kael stepped forward, his eyes wide. No, Ella, that's not true. I would never use you. You're more than that. So much more. Ella's heart hurt. She wanted to believe him. But the doubt was still there. Prove it, she said. Kael hesitated. Then he said, come with me. Tomorrow, I'll show you. I'll tell you everything. Ella nodded. Okay, tomorrow. Kael smiled, relieved. I'll pick you up at 10 a.m. He left, and Ella stood on her porch, holding the bag of herbs. Maybe he was telling the truth. Maybe Gareth was wrong. Maybe she could trust him. Just one more chance. Chapter 15. Old Wounds and New Trust. Saturday morning was sunny, the storm gone. Ella woke up early, nervous. She put on a nice shirt and jeans, then waited for Kael. He arrived at 10 a.m. exactly, his truck clean, his hair tied back. Ready? He said. Ella nodded. Where are we going? You'll see, Kael said. They drove for 30 minutes into the deep forest. The trees grew taller, the air quieter. Kael pulled off the road, parking next to a small clearing. Here, he said. Ella got out of the truck. The clearing was empty, except for a small, overgrown cabin. Its windows were broken, its door hanging off its hinges. This is where it happened, Kael said, his voice soft. The human who betrayed me. This was my cabin. Ella's heart dropped. You lived here? Kael nodded. He walked toward the cabin, Ella following. He pushed open the door, stepping inside. It was empty, dusty. A few pieces of furniture remained. A broken chair, an old table, a bookshelf filled with water-damaged books. I was 200 years old, Kael said. Young. Stupid. I thought humans were. Good. I helped him, fed him, fixed his car, and he stole my horn shard. Sold it to a warlock. The warlock used it to hurt the forest creatures. I couldn't stop him. Not in time. Ella put her hand on his arm. I'm so sorry, KL. KL turned to her. His eyes were shiny. I was scared. After that, scared to trust anyone. Scared to get close. But then you came. You didn't care that I'm a unicorn. You didn't want anything from me. You just wanted to work. To help. He took her hand, his fingers lacing with hers. I don't care about the Forest Council. I don't care about getting anything. I care about you, Ella. You're the first person I've trusted in 300 years. And I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner. I was scared. Scared you'd leave. Scared you'd hurt me. Ella's eyes were wet. I would never hurt you, KL. You have to know that. I know, he said. He pulled her closer, his arms wrapping around her. I'm sorry. For making you doubt. For not trusting you. Ella hugged him back, her face pressed against his chest. He was warm, strong, and he smelled like honey and pine. I'm sorry too, she said, for listening to Gareth. For not trusting you. Kale pulled away, his hands on her cheeks. He leaned in, his lips just inches from hers. Can I kiss you? He said. Ella nodded. Yes. He kissed her, softly at first, then deeper. His lips were warm, his hands gentle. Ella's heart raced, her fingers tangling in his hair. When they pulled away, Kale's eyes were bright. I like you, Ella. A lot. I like you too, Kale, she said, grinning. They walked back to the truck, their hands intertwined. The forest was quiet, the sun shining through the trees. Want to get pizza? Kyle said. Pineapple and pepperoni. Ella laughed. No, but you're paying. Kale smiled. Deal. They drove back to town, laughing and talking. Ella felt light, happy. The doubt was gone. The fear was gone. For the first time in a long time, she felt like she belonged. And as they pulled into the pizza place, Ella knew one thing for sure. She was falling for this shadow unicorn. Hard, and she didn't care. Chapter 16. Flower Fights and Cookie Failures. Sunday morning smelled like cinnamon and honey. Ella stood in her apartment kitchen, wearing an old apron. It said, World's Okayest Baker, while Kale leaned against the counter, watching her measure flour. Sunlight streamed through the windows, catching the dust motes in the air, and the radio played soft country music. Kale's request, surprisingly. Are you sure you don't want to help? Ella said, grinning. Or are you scared you'll burn the cookies again? Kale's ears turned pink. I didn't burn the first batch. They were caramelized. Caramelized, Ella repeated, laughing. Sure, caramelized to a crisp. He pushed off the counter, stepping behind her. His arms wrapped around her waist, his chin resting on her shoulder. Fine, each me. But if I mess up, you're taking the blame. Ella leaned back into his chest, smiling. Deal. They measured flour, sugar, and honey. Kale's favorite side by side. Kale's hands were big, clumsy with the measuring cups, and he spilled flour on the counter. Ella laughed, wiping it off his cheek with her thumb. Oops, he said, grinning. He dipped his finger in the flour, tapping her nose. Ella gasped. Hey! She grabbed a handful of flour, tossing it at him. Kyle laughed, tossing flour back. Soon, they were covered in white, the kitchen a mess, the radio forgotten. Kale caught her around the waist, spinning her in a circle. Ella laughed, her hands on his shoulders. When he stopped, they were inches apart. Kale's eyes were bright, his cheeks dusted with flour. He leaned in, kissing her soft, sweet, with a hint of honey. The doorbell rang. Ella pulled away, laughing. That's Lyra. She said she wanted to taste test. Kyle groaned. Of course she did. Ella opened the door. Lyra stood on the porch, holding a container of maple syrup, her eyes wide when she saw the flour-covered kitchen and Kale's flour-streaked face. Whoa, she said. Did you two have a flour fight? Or did you try to bake a cake and fail? None of your business, Kyle said, but he was smiling. Lyra walked in, setting the maple syrup on the counter. Gareth sent me. He said to apologize. For, you know, the thing about using you. She looked at Ella, her face guilty. He's too stubborn to do it himself. Ella smiled. Tell him it's okay. I forgive him. Really, Lyra said. He thought you'd never talk to him again. Really, Ella said. She looked at Kale, who nodded. We all make mistakes. Even grumpy goblins. Lyra grinned. Good. Now, where are the cookies? I'm starving. They baked the cookies. Kale didn't burn them this time and ate them with Lyra, dipping them in maple syrup. Lyra teased them the whole time, but it was warm, friendly, like family. When Lyra left, Ella and Kale cleaned the kitchen side by side. Kale washed the dishes, Ella dried them. Their hands brushed every so often, and each time, Ella's heart skipped a beat. Thanks for today, Ella said, putting the last dish away. Kale turned to her, his hands on her hips. Thanks for letting me mess up your kitchen. And your flour. Ella laughed. Anytime. He kissed her, slow and deep. The kitchen was clean, the sun was setting, and for a moment, everything felt perfect. Chapter 17. Worm Hunts and Forest Flowers. Tuesday started with a panic. Ella arrived at the barn to find Lyra pacing, her silver hair a mess. He's gone, she said. The worm. I turned my back for 2 seconds, and he vanished. Ella's heart dropped. The worm was tiny, fragile, too small to be alone in the forest. Did you check his favourite spots? The office. The break room? Lyra nodded. I checked everywhere. Garrett's looking by the maple tree. Thorn's checking the stream. We can't find him. Kale walked in, his face serious. What's wrong? The worm's gone, Ella said. We need to find him. Kale nodded. Lit up. Ella, you come with me. We'll check the eastern forest. He likes the berries there. Lyra, check the western edge. Gareth, keep looking near the barn. Thorn, let us know if you find anything. They split up, Kale leading Ella into the eastern forest. The trees were tall, the air cool, and the only sounds were their boots on the leaves and the birds singing. He's probably scared, Kale said, his voice soft. The storm last week spooked him. He might be hiding. Ella nodded. She called out, Little guy? Where are you? They walked for 20 minutes, checking bushes and hollow trees. Ella was starting to panic. What if the worm was hurt? What if he'd wandered too far? Then Kyle stopped. Listen. Ella quieted. She heard it. A soft, whimpering sound coming from a bush up ahead. There, Kale said. He knelt down, gently pushing the bush aside. The worm was curled up inside, his blue scales dull, his wings trembling. He'd gotten stuck in a thorny vine, his leg tangled. Hey, little guy, Ella said, softening her voice. She carefully untangled the vine, while Kyle held the bush back. The worm nuzzled her hand, his eyes wide. You're okay, Ella said, picking him up. We found you. Kale stood up, smiling. Good. Lyra would have cried if we lost him. Ella laughed. She held the worm close, walking back toward the barn. Kale walked beside her, his hand brushing hers every so often. They passed a patch of wildflowers, tiny, purple, growing along the path. Kyle stopped, picking one. He tucked it behind Ella's ear, his fingers brushing her cheek. For you, he said. Ella's face warmed. Thanks. It's pretty. Kale smiled. Not as pretty as you. Ella laughed, shaking her head. You're such a sap. But she leaned into his side, the worm sleeping in her arms, the flower behind her ear. When they got back to the barn, Lyra tackled them, hugging the worm tight. You found him. I was so worried. Gareth sighed, but he was smiling. Good. Now we can get back to work. The centaur's waiting for his energy guide. Ella handed the worm to Lyra, then turned to Kale. He winked at her, the flower still behind her ear. Ella smiled. Days like this, finding lost worms, picking wildflowers, laughing with friends were the best kind. And she was glad she got to share them with Kale. Chapter 18. Hot Cocoa and Late Night Talks. Friday night was cold. Rain poured down, wind howled, and the power went out at Ella's apartment. She lit candles, wrapping a blanket around her shoulders, when there was a knock on the door. It was Kale, holding a thermos and a flashlight. Heard the power went out, he said. Brought hot cocoa. And a blanket, just in case. Ella smiled, letting him in. You're the best. Kale set the thermos on the coffee table, sitting next to her on the couch. He poured the hot cocoa. rich, creamy, with a hint of honey, handing her a mug. "Thanks," Ella said, taking a sip. It warmed her up, from her fingers to her toes. They sat in silence for a while, watching the candlelight flicker. The rain tapped against the windows, and the wind howled outside, but inside it was warm, cozy. "Tell me about your masters," Cale said, breaking the silence. "Medieval folklore. What was that like?" Ella smiled. "It was hard. Long nights, lots of papers, professors who thought I was wasting my time. But I loved it. Reading about knights and dragons, about old stories that people used to tell, it felt like coming home." Cale nodded. "I get that. The forest feels like home to me. Always has." Ella leaned her head on his shoulder. "Do you ever regret it, being a unicorn? Having to live so long, watching things change?" Cale hesitated. "Sometimes. I've watched friends die, forests burn, humans destroy things they don't understand. But then I meet people like you, like Lyra, like Thorn, and it's worth it." He turned to her, his hand on her cheek. "You make it worth it." Ella's heart warmed. I'm glad I met you." They talked for hours about her college days, about his childhood in the forest, about their hopes for the future. Ella told him about her grandma, about the maple tree they used to climb. Cale told her about his mother, about the honeybees she used to keep. When the power came back on, the clock read midnight. Kyle stood up, stretching. "I should go. You have work tomorrow." Ella nodded. She walked him to the door. "Thanks for the hot cocoa," she said. "And the talk. It meant a lot." Kale smiled. He leaned in, kissing her forehead. "Any time. I'll see you tomorrow." Ella watched him leave, her heart full. Moments like this, late-night talks, hot cocoa, quiet intimacy, were the ones she'd been missing. And she was glad she got to share them with Cale. Chapter 19. Parent Visits and Unicorn Secrets. Saturday morning was chaotic. Ella's phone rang at 8 a.m. Her mum. "Why, honey? Your dad and I are in Bramblewood. We thought we'd surprise you." "Can we come over?" Ella froze. "Oh, Mum, you're in Bramblewood? Now?" "Yes. We wanted to see your new apartment. And meet your new friend. Kyle, right? You mentioned him in your last call." Ella's heart raced. Her parents didn't know Cale was a unicorn. They thought he was just her co-worker. She'd been meaning to tell them, but she hadn't found the right time. "Sure," Ella said. "Come over at 10. I'll make breakfast." She hung up, then called Cale. He picked up on the first ring. "Hey," he said. "What's wrong? You sound panicked." "My parents are coming over," Ella said, "in 2 hours. They want to meet you. And they don't know you're a unicorn." Cale's voice softened. "Hey, it's okay. We'll figure it out. I'll be there in 30 minutes. We can make a plan." Ella sighed. "Thanks. I'm so nervous. They're gonna ask a million questions. About my job, about you." "Hey," Cale said. "I'll handle it. I've talked to humans before. Remember? The grocery store. Mabel?" Ella laughed. "Yeah? Mabel. Who knows you're a unicorn." "Details," Cale said. "I'll be there soon. Relax." Cale arrived 25 minutes later holding a dozen donuts, Ella's favorite, and a jar of honey for her parents. He helped her clean the apartment, straightening the couch, folding the blanket, hiding the worm emergency manual in a drawer. "He's not going to turn into a unicorn in front of them, right?" Ella said, nervous. Kyle smiled. "No, I can control it. Unless I get really angry, or really happy, or really surprised." Ella groaned. "Great." The doorbell rang at 10 a.m. exactly. Ella took a deep breath, opening the door. Her parents stood on the porch. Her mum, with curly brown hair and a big smile. Her dad, with a gruff expression but soft eyes. "Ella," her mum said, hugging her, "your apartment is so cute. And this must be Cale." Cale held out his hand. "Nice to meet you, sir, ma'am. Ella's told me a lot about you." Ella's dad shook his hand. "Nice to meet you, Cale. Ella says you work with her at the farm?" Ella's face warmed. "Yeah? Thorn's Magical Services. We take care of animals." Kael nodded. Mostly, we do a lot of conservation work too. Protecting the forest. They sat at the kitchen table, eating donuts and drinking coffee. Ella's mom asked Kael a million questions. Where he was from, what his family was like, how he met Ella. Kael answered smoothly, avoiding the unicorn part, talking about his family in the forest and growing up around nature. Then Ella's dad spoke up. Ella says you fixed her car. That's nice of you. But, are you sure this job is right for her? She has a master's, Kael. She should be doing something better. Ella's heart dropped. She'd known this was coming. Her dad had never understood her love for history, for silly jobs like this. But Kael spoke up, his voice calm but firm. With all due respect, sir, Ella loves this job. She's good at it. She helps magical creatures, helps the forest, every day. That's not better or worse. That's important. And she's happy. Isn't that what matters? Ella's dad stared at him. Then he nodded. Yeah? Yeah, it is. I'm sorry. I just want what's best for her. Ella smiled. I know, Dad. And this is what's best for me. Her mom grinned. I like him, Ella. He's a keeper. Ella's face turned red. Kael's ears were pink. When her parents left, Ella hugged Kael tight. Thank you for sticking up for me. Kael smiled. I just told the truth. You're amazing, Ella. Everyone should see that. He kissed her, slow and sweet. The apartment was quiet, the sun shining through the windows. Ella's heart was full. Her parents might not know Kael was a unicorn yet, but they liked him, and that was a start. Chapter 20. Maple Trees and Future Promises. Sunday was perfect. The sun was shining, the birds were singing, and Thorn's maple tree had grown another inch. To celebrate, Thorn had invited everyone to a picnic. Ella, Kael, Lyra, Gareth, Torrin, even the worm who was wearing a tiny flower crown Lyra had made. Ella arrived with Kael, holding a basket of sandwiches and a container of potato salad. Thorn was already there, sitting under the tree, his leaves rustling with excitement. Look, he said, pointing to the tree. It's growing. Soon it'll be as big as my old one. Ella smiled. It's beautiful, Thorn. You should be proud. They spread out the blanket, unpacking the food. Lyra chased the worm. Gareth complained about the noisy humans, and Torrin recited a poem about growing love and growing trees. Ella sat next to Kael, leaning against his side. He wrapped his arm around her, his hand on her hip. The sun was warm, the food was good, and the company was better. I have something to tell you, Kael said, leaning in to whisper in her ear. Ella turned to him, curious. What? Kael smiled. I talked to the Forest Council. They want to hire you full-time, as a senior tech. Better pay, better benefits. You'd be in charge of training new techs, working with the magical creatures, whatever you want. Ella's eyes widened. Really? They want me? Kael nodded. They've been watching you. You're good with the creatures. Good with us. They said you're exactly what we need. Ella's heart raced. I don't know what to say. Thank you for telling them about me. Kael kissed her forehead. You earned it. I just helped them see what I already knew. Lyra cheered, hearing their conversation. Like, yes, now you can't leave us. Gareth would cry if you left. Gareth glared. I would not. Everyone laughed. When the sun started to set, they packed up the picnic. Thorn hugged Ella, his leaves brushing her cheek. Congratulations on the new job. You deserve it. Torrin nodded. And congratulations on the love. It's nice to see two souls so happy. Ella's face warmed. Kael squeezed her hand. They walked back to the barn together, the forest quiet around them. The moon was rising, casting a soft glow over the trees. I'm happy, Ella said, breaking the silence. Really happy. This job, my friends, it's more than I ever hoped for. Kael turned to her, his teal eyes bright. I'm happy too. You changed things. For me. For all of us. He pulled her close, kissing her slow, deep, full of promise. I want to be with you, Kael said, his voice soft. For a long time, if you'll have me. Ella smiled, tears in her eyes. No, Of course I will. They walked the rest of the way to the barn, their hands intertwined. The forest was quiet, the moon was bright, and for a moment, everything felt perfect. Ella knew there would be challenges. Her parents finding out about Kale, the new job, the chaos of magical creatures, but she didn't care. She had Kale, she had her friends. She had a job she loved. And that was enough. In the grim, chaotic world, sometimes the best things were the small ones. Honey cookies, forest flowers, late-night talks, and a shadow unicorn who loved her. Ella smiled. Life was weird, but it was her weird, and she wouldn't have it any other way. Chapter 21. Senior Tech, Jitters and Forest Traps. Monday marked Ella's first day as Senior Magical Creature Care Tech, and she was a mess. She'd woken up at 6 a.m., ironed her nicest flannel, the one with blue and green plaid, and arrived at the barn 45 minutes early. The sign on her new office door, Ella Marlowe Senior Tech, still felt surreal. She'd spent weeks as a newbie, fumbling with wands and panicking over worm emergencies, and now she was in charge of training new hires. "Breathe," Kale said, appearing in her office doorway with 2 lattes. He set one on her desk, vanilla oat milk, just how she liked it, and leaned against the frame. "You're gonna be great. You've handled worse than a trainee." Ella took a sip of latte, her hands still shaking. What if I mess up? What if I teach them the wrong spell? What if they accidentally touch a unicorn's horn and get kicked? Kale laughed. "Then, you'll apologize, and help them up. That's what being a senior tech is, learning from mistakes. Remember when you spilled honey all over my office? I didn't fire you." Ella groaned. "Don't remind me. That honey was everywhere." He stepped closer, his hand on her shoulder. "You've got this. I'll be right down the hall if you need me. And if all else fails, blame Gareth." Ella smiled, her nerves easing. "Deal." Her first trainee arrived 10 minutes later, a young human named Mia, with pink hair and a backpack covered in magical creature stickers. "I'm so excited to work here," Mia said, bouncing on her toes. "I've always loved unicorns. And dryads. And worms. Oh, can I meet the worm later?" Ella laughed. "Absolutely. But first, safety manual. Rule 1. Never touch a unicorn's horn unless they ask. Rule 2. If a dryad cries maple syrup, grab a towel. Rule 3. Kale's cookies are his. Do not eat them." Mia nodded, scribbling notes. "Got it. No horn touching, no maple syrup messes, no Kale's cookies." They spent the morning going over wands, spells, and client schedules. Mia was a quick learner. She mastered the basic calming spell on her first try, and didn't panic when a nervous dryad spilled maple syrup on her shoes. By lunch, Ella was feeling confident. She and Mia sat in the break room, eating sandwiches when Lyra burst in, her face pale. "Something's wrong," she said. "I was in the eastern forest, by the berry patch, and I found a trap. A metal one. For magical creatures." Ella's heart dropped. "A trap? Like a poacher's trap?" Lyra nodded. "It had a unicorn horn shard on it, to lure them in. I disabled it, but who knows how many more are out there." Kale walked in, his face serious. "We need to check the forest. All of it. Ella, you and Mia stay here. Keep an eye on the clients. Lyra, Gareth, Thorn and I will search the perimeter." Ella nodded. "Be careful. And take the emergency wand." Kyle kissed her forehead. "He will. Don't worry." They left, and Ella turned to Mia, who looked scared. "It's okay," Ella said. "This doesn't happen often. We'll find the traps." But her stomach twisted. Poachers. After everything Kale had been through, after the human who betrayed him, she couldn't let anything happen to him. She spent the rest of the afternoon checking on clients, her mind elsewhere. When Kale returned at 5 p.m., his clothes covered in dirt, she ran to him. "Did you find more traps?" she said. Kyle nodded. 3 more. All near the maple tree. They're targeting unicorns. And Thorn's tree. They cut some of its branches, probably to get his attention. Ella's jaw tightened. Why would they do that? Thorn's tree is harmless. "Because magical creatures are valuable," Kale said, his voice cold. "Unicorn horns, dryad sap, Worm scales. People pay a lot for them, and they don't care who they hurt to get it. Ella hugged him, her face pressed against his chest. I'm glad you're okay. He held her tight. I'm okay, but we need to be careful. They'll be back. That night, Ella lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. Poachers. Threats. She'd thought her life was finally calm. Good job, great friends, a boyfriend who loved her, but the world was still dangerous. But then she thought of Kyle, of Lyra, of Thorn, of all the people who had her back, and she felt better. They'd face this together. Like always. Chapter 22. Worm Scares and Midnight Patrols. Wednesday night was quiet. Too quiet. Ella was at her apartment, grading Mia's training notes, when her phone buzzed. It was Kyle, his voice tight with panic. Ella, the worm's gone. Play, again. But this time, there's a trap by his favourite bush. We think he was taken. Ella's blood ran cold. Taken? By poachers? We don't know, Kale said. Lyra's tracking his scent. Gareth's checking the western forest. I need you to stay at your apartment, lock the doors. Don't open them for anyone. I'm not staying here, Ella said, grabbing her keys. I'm coming. You need help. Ella, I'm coming, she repeated, and that's final. She hung up, racing to her car. The drive to the barn was tense. She kept checking her rearview mirror, half expecting to see a poacher's truck following her. When she arrived, Kyle was pacing by the porch, his horn visible, glowing red. You shouldn't have come, he said. But he pulled her into a hug. I told you I'm not letting you do this alone, Ella said. She pulled away, grabbing her wand from her toolkit. Where's Lyra? East Forest, Kyle said. She said, his scent leads that way. Let's go. They ran into the forest, their boots crunching on leaves. The moon was bright, casting shadows that looked like figures. Poachers waiting in the trees. Ella's heart raced, but she kept going. The worm was tiny, defenseless. She had to find him. I hear something, Kale said, stopping. Ella quieted. She heard it. A soft whimper, coming from behind a thicket of bushes. There, she said. Kale pushed the bushes aside. The worm was huddled in a hole, his wings trembling, his blue scales dull. Next to him was a metal trap, open but still dangerous. Hey, little guy, Ella said, softening her voice. She carefully picked him up, holding him close. You're okay. We're here. The worm nuzzled her neck, his whimpering stopping. Kale disabled the trap, his jaw tight. Whoever did this knew where he'd be, Kale said. They've been watching us. Ella nodded. She looked around, her wand raised. We need to get back, before they come back. They walked back to the barn, Ella holding the worm, Kale walking close, his hand on her arm. When they arrived, Lyra and Gareth were waiting, their faces worried. He's okay, Ella said, holding up the worm. Lyra sighed, relieved. Thank God. I know, Ella said. We need to set up patrols. Day and night. Someone needs to watch the forest. Kale nodded. I'll take the first shift. Midnight to 4 a.m. I'll take the next, Ella said. Gareth groaned. Great. Now I have to stay up all night. This is why I hate humans. But he grabbed his flashlight, heading for the forest. Ella stayed with Kale until midnight, helping him set up traps of their own magical ones, this time, that would alert them if a poacher came near. When it was time for his patrol, she kissed him, her hands on his cheeks. Be careful, she said. I will, Kale said. He kissed her back. Go to bed. I'll wake you at 4. Ella nodded, but she didn't sleep. She sat on her porch, her wand in hand, watching the forest. She thought about Kyle, walking alone in the dark, about the poachers, about the worm, scared and alone. At 4 a.m., Kale returned, his clothes covered in dew. No sign of them, he said. But I found another trap. Near the maple tree. Ella stood up, stretching. I'll go check it out. You get some sleep. Kale shook his head. I'm coming with you. Ella smiled. Stubborn unicorn. Guilty, he said. They walked to the maple tree, hand in hand. The trap was like the others, metal with a unicorn horn shard attached. Ella disabled it, her jaw tight. They're not giving up, she said. Kyle nodded. He pulled her close, his face buried in her hair. We'll stop them. Together. Ella closed her eyes, leaning into him. She hoped he was right. Chapter 23. Poacher Clues and Team Plans. Friday brought a breakthrough. Mia was in the eastern forest, collecting berries for the worm, when she found something. A piece of fabric caught on a tree branch. It was black, thick, with a logo stitched into the corner, a skull and crossbones, with a unicorn horn in the center. I've seen this before, Lyra said, staring at the fabric. It's the logo of the Black Claw Syndicate. They're poachers, worst in the region. They steal magical creatures and sell them to the highest bidder. Kale's face hardened. I've heard of them. They're the ones who stole my horn shard 300 years ago. The ones who hurt the forest creatures. Ella's heart dropped. They're the same ones? The ones who betrayed you? Kale nodded. They've been around for centuries, changing names, changing faces. But their methods are the same: lie, steal, hurt. Gareth slammed his clipboard on the table. We need to stop them, before they take another creature, or worse, hurt someone. Thorn nodded, his leaves rustling. I can help. The trees talk to me. They can tell me if someone's in the forest, if they're carrying traps. Torrin smiled. I can recite a poem to distract them. A really long one. They'll fall asleep before they can set a trap. Ella laughed, but she nodded. Every little bit helps. Here's the plan, Thorn. You talk to the trees. Let us know if the poachers come back. Lyra, you track their scent. See if you can find their camp. Gareth, you set up more magical traps. Torrin, you keep the clients calm. And Mia, you stay with the worm. Don't let him out of your sight. Everyone nodded. Kale stepped forward, his hand on Ella's shoulder. And what about us? Ella smiled. We're the backup. If the poachers come, we'll stop them. Together. They spent the day preparing. Thorn talked to the trees, planting listening seeds that would alert them if anyone entered the forest. Lyra tracked the poacher's scent to a cave on the edge of the forest. Empty, but filled with traps and empty cages. Gareth set up magical wards around the barn, glowing teal runes that would burn anyone who tried to enter with bad intentions. By dusk, they were ready. Ella and Kale sat on the porch, watching the forest, their hands intertwined. Are you scared? Ella said. Kyle nodded. No, but not for me. For you. For the worm. For everyone here. Ella squeezed his hand. We'll be okay. We have each other. And our friends. Kale smiled. Yeah? We do. They sat in silence, watching the sun set. The forest was quiet, but Ella could feel it. The trees, whispering to each other, the wind, carrying the scent of pine, the magic humming in her veins. At 9 p.m., Thorn's voice echoed through the barn. They're coming. The trees say they're carrying traps, lots of them. Ella and Kale stood up, their wands ready. Lyra and Gareth ran out of the barn, their weapons in hand. Mia ran out with the worm, hiding him in a closet in Ella's office. Stay here, Ella said to Mia. Lock the door. Don't come out until we say so. Mia nodded, locking the door. The poachers arrived 10 minutes later, 5 of them, wearing black jackets with the Black Claw logo, carrying metal traps and nets. They stopped at the edge of the forest, whispering to each other. Now, Kale said. They charged. Lyra attacked first, her sword singing as she cut through a poacher's net. Gareth threw a magical bomb, the teal light blinding the poachers. Thorn's trees grabbed their legs, roots wrapping around their ankles. Torrin recited a poem, long, dramatic, about a unicorn who outsmarted poachers, and 2 poachers stopped, staring at him, confused. Ella and Kale attacked the remaining 2. Kale's horn glowed teal, his magic knocking one poacher off his feet. Ella used her wand, the calming spell making the other poacher freeze, his eyes wide. Stop, Ella said. You're outnumbered. Give up. The poacher hesitated, then dropped his trap. Fine. But the syndicate won't stop. They want the unicorn. They'll be back. Kyle stepped forward, his voice cold. Then we'll be ready. They tied up the poachers, calling the local authorities. Marge, the grocery store owner, who was also the town sheriff, Small towns, am I right? When they left, the barn was quiet, the forest calm. Ella collapsed on the porch, exhausted. Kyle sat next to her, handing her a water bottle. We did it, she said. Kyle nodded. We did. Together. He kissed her, slow and sweet. The moon was bright, the stars were shining, and for a moment, everything felt perfect. Chapter 24. Trap, Snares and Sacrifice. Sunday morning started with a scream. Ella was in her apartment, making pancakes, when her phone rang. It was Lyra. Her voice panicked. Ella, Kyle's in trouble. He went to check the eastern forest near the cave, and he stepped in a trap. It's a magical one, we can't get it off. Ella dropped her spatula, grabbing her keys. I'm on my way. Keep him calm. I'll bring the emergency wand. She raced to her car, her hand shaking. Magical traps were the worst. They could drain a creature's magic, even kill them if they weren't removed quickly. Kale was strong, but 300 years of trauma, of betrayal, she couldn't lose him. When she arrived at the forest, Lyra, Gareth and Thorn were gathered around a clearing. Kyle was there, his leg caught in a metal trap, his horn glowing red. His face was pale, his breathing shallow. Ella, Lyra said, thank God. The trap's enchanted. It's draining his magic. We tried to remove it, but it won't budge. Ella knelt down next to Kale, her hands on his face. Hey, look at me. I'm here. I'm gonna get you out. Kale's eyes opened, his teal gaze soft. Ella, don't risk it. The trap. If you touch it, it'll drain your magic too. You're human. You can't handle it. I don't care, Ella said. She pulled out her emergency wand, the one Kale had given her, made from his old horn shard. This will work. Trust me. She leaned over the trap, the wand glowing teal. She whispered the disenchantment spell, one Kale had taught her, for emergencies, and touched the wand to the trap. The trap screamed, a high-pitched noise that made everyone cover their ears. It glowed red, then teal, then went dark. Ella pulled it off Kale's leg, tossing it aside. Kale collapsed, his magic drained. Ella caught him, holding him close. Ooh, talk to me. He smiled, his eyes closing. I'm okay. Just tired. They carried him back to the barn, laying him on a cot in his office. Ella sat next to him, holding his hand, while Lyra fetched honey water and Gareth checked his leg for injuries. He'll be okay, Gareth said, his voice softer than usual. The trap drained his magic, but it didn't hurt him. He just needs to rest. Ella nodded, but she didn't leave. She sat with him all day, reading to him from his favourite book, The Lord of the Rings, and feeding him honey water. When he woke up at dusk, his eyes were bright. Hey, he said. Hey yourself, Ella said, smiling. You scared me. Kale squeezed her hand. I'm sorry. I thought the trap was disabled. I didn't mean to worry you. Ella leaned down, kissing him. Don't do it again. I can't lose you. He nodded. I won't. I promise. Lyra walked in, grinning. The poachers are gone. Marge arrested them, and she says the Black Claw Syndicate is sending someone to get them. They won't be back. Ella smiled. Good. Now we can get back to normal. No more traps, no more poachers. Kyle laughed. Normal, but normal for us is a worm who steals paperclips, a dryad who cries maple syrup, and a fox spirit who steals honey. Ella nodded. Perfectly normal. They sat in silence, watching the sunset. Ella's heart was full. They'd faced poachers, traps, betrayal, but they'd faced it together. And that's all that mattered. Chapter 25. Maple Promises and Forever 1 year later. Ella stood in the eastern forest, her hand in Kale's, staring at Thorn's maple tree. It was tall now, its branches strong, its leaves bright green. A swing hung from one of the branches. Lyra's idea, and the worm was napping in the grass below, his tiny wings folded. Look how big it is, Ella said, smiling. Thorn would be so proud. Kale nodded. Thorn had passed away 3 months ago. Dryads lived a long time, but even they couldn't live forever. He'd asked to be buried under the tree, his last wish to watch it grow. He is proud, Kale said. I can feel him, in the wind, in the leaves. Ella leaned her head on his shoulder. I miss him. I do too, Kale said. He kissed her forehead. But he's still here. With us. They walked back to the barn, hand in hand. Ella was still the senior tech, and Mia had become a great trainee. She even taught a new hire how to handle a nervous centaur. Lyra was still stealing honey, Gareth was still complaining about noisy humans, and Torrin still recited poems about love and trees. The barn was busy, but cozy. Mia was playing with the worm. Gareth was yelling at Lyra for stealing his sandwich, and Torrin was reciting a poem to a group of dryads. Hey, Kale said, pulling Ella aside. He led her to the porch, where a small box sat on the swing. What's this? Ella said, picking it up. Kyle smiled. Open it. Ella opened the box. Inside was a small, silver necklace. A tiny unicorn horn pendant, made from a shard of Kale's horn. Engraved on the back was a word. Forever. Kale, Ella said, her voice tight. This is beautiful. Kyle knelt down, taking the necklace from her. He put it around her neck, his fingers brushing her skin. In unicorn tradition, giving someone a horn shard means you're bonded, forever. I want to be bonded to you, if you'll have me. Ella's eyes were wet. She nodded, her voice shaking. No, of course I will. Kale stood up, pulling her into a hug. I love you, Ella, more than I ever thought possible. I love you too, Kyle, she said. They kissed, slow and deep, as the sun set over the forest. The worm napped in the grass, the dryads hummed, and the maple tree swayed in the wind. Thorn's way of saying congratulations, Ella thought. Life was weird. It was messy. It had poachers and traps and loss. But it also had honey cookies, late-night talks, forest flowers, and a shadow unicorn who loved her. And for Ella, that was perfect. In the end, that's all anyone could ask for. Forever. Chapter 26. Shard Necklaces and Shy Fawns. The morning sun glinted off the silver necklace around Ella's neck. Kale's horn shard, engraved with forever, as she unlocked the barn's front door. It had been a week since Kale had given it to her, and she hadn't taken it off once, not even when she'd accidentally spilled honey on her shirt, or when she'd spent 3 hours scrubbing maple syrup off the breakroom floor. Obsessed much? Lyra said, leaning against the porch rail with a granola bar in her hand. She nodded at the necklace, grinning. It's cute. But if you wear it in the shower, it's going to get rusty. Ella rolled her eyes, pushing past her. It's not rusty. It's magical. Kyle said it'll stay shiny forever. Magical jewelry, Lyra said, following her inside. How romantic. When's the wedding? I call dibs on being the maid of honor. Lyra, Ella said, her face warming. We just got bonded. Unicorn tradition, remember? Not married. Same thing, Lyra said. And I want a dress made of starlight. Or honey. Honey's better. Before Ella could argue, Mia ran into the barn, her pink hair a mess. Ella, there's a new client. A fawn. He's scared. He won't come out of the woods. Ella straightened up, grabbing her wand from her toolkit. Where is he? By the maple tree, Mia said. Kale's with him, but he's just hiding behind a bush. He keeps saying humans are scary. Ella and Lyra rushed to the eastern forest, where Kyle was kneeling by a bush, his voice soft. It's okay. We won't hurt you. My friend Ella's here. She's really nice. She likes fawns. The bush rustled, and a small face peeked out. Big brown eyes, curly horns, and a coat of soft brown fur. Really? He said, his voice tiny. Ella knelt down, smiling gently. Really? I've never met a fawn before. What's your name? Toby, he said, stepping out from behind the bush. He was about 3 feet tall, with cloven hooves and a tail that twitched when he was nervous. I need help. My horn's stuck. It got tangled in a vine, and now it hurts. Kyle nodded, gesturing for Ella to join him. We can help, but we need you to stay still. Okay, Toby. Toby nodded, sitting down on the grass. Ella carefully untangled the vine from his horn, while Kyle held a small jar of honey. For courage, he said. When she finished, Toby sighed, rubbing his horn. Thank you, he said. He looked up at Ella, his eyes wide. Your necklace is pretty. Is it magic? Ella touched the horn shard, smiling. Yeah, it is. My boyfriend gave it to me. He's a unicorn. Toby's eyes lit up. A unicorn? Like Kale? Can I meet him? Kale laughed, sitting down next to him. I'm right here, Toby. For the rest of the morning, Toby hung around the barn, asking Kale questions about unicorns and Ella about humans. He even helped Mia feed the worm, who took a liking to him and stole his hat, much to Toby's amusement. When Toby left, he hugged Ella and Kale. I'll come back, he said. I want to learn about magic. And honey, Ella waved, watching him run into the forest. Kale wrapped his arm around her waist, kissing her temple. He's cute. Reminds me of when I was young. Ella smiled. Scared of everything? Kale nodded. Scared of everything. But then my mum told me, courage isn't being fearless, it's being scared and still trying. Ella leaned into his side. She was right. Just like you were right about the necklace. It's perfect. Kale kissed her, slow and sweet. The sun was warm. The forest was quiet. And for a moment, everything felt like it was exactly where it should be. Chapter 27. Retro Days and Family Calls. Absolutely not, Kale said, staring at the pile of clothes Lyra had dumped on his office desk. There was a plaid suit jacket, a striped tie, and a pair of brown leather shoes, all vintage human clothes, according to Lyra. Why not? Lyra said, grinning. It's retro day. Everyone's wearing old human clothes. Gareth's got a top hat. Torrin's wearing a toga again. Even Mia's got a poodle skirt. Kale picked up the suit jacket, holding it at arm's length. It's too tight, and the tie looks stupid. Ella laughed, taking the jacket from him. See, Mon, it'll be fun. I'll help you put it on, and if you hate it, you can take it off. Promise. Kyle sighed, but he nodded. Fine. But if anyone laughs, I'm blaming you. Ella helped him put on the jacket. It was a little tight around the shoulders, but it looked good, especially with his silver-streaked hair tied back. She adjusted the tie, her fingers brushing his chest. Hey, you look handsome. Kale's ears turned pink. Shut up. They walked out of his office to find the barn in chaos. Gareth was wearing a top hat and a cane, scowling as Lyra took pictures. Torrin was reciting a poem in a toga, surrounded by amused dryads, and Mia was twirling in her poodle skirt, the worm sitting on her shoulder. Look at Kale, Mia said, pointing. You look like a movie star. Kale glared, but he didn't take off the jacket. Lyra clapped her hands. Now we're going to the vintage chow in town. Mabel said they've got old records, vintage candy, and a photo booth. Let's go. They piled into Kale's truck. Ella in a 1950s-style dress she'd found at a thrift store, Kale in his suit, Lyra in a sequined top and bell-bottoms, Gareth in his top hat, Mia in her poodle skirt, and Torrin in his toga. He refused to take it off. The vintage cause was busy, with stalls selling old records, retro toys, and homemade candy. Mabel was there, manning a stall with apple pie, and she laughed when she saw Kale. Well, look at you, she said, all dressed up. Ella, you've got good taste. Ella smiled. Thanks, Mabel. He fought me on the tie. Kale crossed his arms. The tie is stupid. Mabel handed him a piece of apple pie. Eat this. It'll make you feel better. And if you're nice, I'll let you pick out a vintage record for Ella. She loves old music, right? Ella's face warmed. I do. My grandma used to play Frank Sinatra for me. Kyle nodded, finishing the pie. Let's find a Frank Sinatra record. They wandered the stalls, Kale holding Ella's hand, Lyra taking pictures of everything, Gareth complaining about silly human traditions. Kale found a Frank Sinatra record, in the wee small hours, and bought it for Ella, along with a vintage hair clip shaped like a maple leaf. For your hair, he said, tucking it behind her ear. It matches the necklace. Ella kissed him. Thank you. I love it. That night, Ella's phone rang. It was her mum. Why, honey? Your dad and I were thinking. We'd like to come visit next month. We want to see the maple tree. And we want to get to know Kale better. Ella's heart raced. Her parents still didn't know Kale was a unicorn. She'd been meaning to tell them, but she hadn't found the right time. Sure, she said. That'd be great. I have something to tell you. About Kale. Her mom smiled. Whatever it is, we'll love him. He makes you happy. That's all that matters. Ella breathed a sigh of relief. Thanks, Mum. I'll see you next month. She hung up, turning to Kale, who was sitting on the couch watching her. They're coming next month. I told them. I have something to tell them. About you. Kale nodded, taking her hand. We'll tell them together. Whatever happens, we'll handle it. Ella smiled. I know. She leaned against him, the vintage record in one hand, the maple leaf hair clip in the other. Life was weird, but it was good, and she wouldn't have it any other way. Chapter 28. Worm Sickness and Midnight Vigils. The worm's whimpering woke Ella up at 2 a.m. She'd been sleeping on Kael's couch. She'd stayed late to finish training notes, and the sound was soft, but it pulled her out of sleep. She stumbled to Kael's office, where the worm's cage was, and her heart dropped. He was curled up in the corner, his blue scales dull, his breathing shallow. His tiny wings were trembling, and he whimpered every time he moved. Kale, Ella whispered, shaking his shoulder. He'd fallen asleep at his desk, his head resting on a pile of Forest Council reports. Kyle, wake up. The worm's sick. Kale jolted awake, his eyes wide. He rushed to the cage, kneeling down. What's wrong with him? Ella shook her head. I don't know. He's whimpering, his scales are dull, he looks terrible. Kale opened the cage, carefully picking up the worm. The little creature nuzzled his palm, his eyes half closed. He's burning up, Kale said, his voice tight. Magic fever. Probably from something he ate. Ella's stomach twisted. Something he ate. Like chocolate? Kale nodded. Lyra. She must have left chocolate somewhere. Worms can't process it. It makes their magic go haywire. They carried the worm to the break room, setting him on a soft blanket. Kale mixed honey water with a drop of his magic. To calm his fever, he said, and fed it to the worm with a tiny spoon. Ella fetched a cold compress from the fridge, gently pressing it to the worm's belly. He'll be okay, Kale said, but his voice was worried. He's strong, but he needs to rest. They sat up with him all night, taking turns feeding him honey water and changing the compress. Ella told stories about her grandma's maple tree, and Kale talked about his childhood in the forest, how he'd once gotten lost and a fawn had helped him find his way home. At dawn, the worm's fever broke. He opened his eyes, nuzzling Ella's hand, and let out a tiny chirp. He's better, Ella said, smiling through tears. Kale nodded, pulling her into a hug. Told you he was strong. Lyra walked in a few hours later, yawning. Morning, oh no. What happened to the worm? Ella glared at her. He ate chocolate. Your chocolate. He had magic fever. We stayed up all night with him. Lyra's face turned white. I'm so sorry. I left a chocolate bar on the counter for Mia. I forgot the worm climbs. Kale sighed. Just. Don't leave chocolate where he can reach it. Ever. He could have died. Lyra nodded, her voice small. I won't. I promise. Can I? Can I help take care of him? To make up for it? Ella smiled. Yeah? You can feed him honey water. But no chocolate. Lyra nodded, sitting down next to the worm. Got it. No chocolate. Ever. Ella and Kale walked to the porch, watching the sunrise. Kyle wrapped his arm around her waist, kissing her forehead. Thanks for staying up with me. I couldn't have done it alone. Ella leaned into him. I'll always stay up with you, no matter what. He kissed her, slow and sweet. The forest was quiet. The worm was safe. And for a moment, everything felt perfect. Chapter 29. Parent Truths and Unicorn Acceptance. Ella's parents arrived on a sunny Saturday morning, their car packed with suitcases and a cooler of her mum's famous potato salad. Ella waited on the porch of her apartment, her hands shaking, Kale standing next to her. You'll be okay, Kale said, squeezing her hand. They love you. They'll understand. Ella nodded, but her heart was racing. What if they didn't understand? What if they thought Kale was a monster? What if they made her choose between them? The car pulled up, and her mum jumped out, hugging her. Ella, your apartment is so cute. And Cale, you look great. Her dad smiled, shaking Cale's hand. Good to see you, son. Ella's told us a lot about you. Cale nodded, his face calm. Good to see you too, sir. Ma'am. They went inside, sitting on the couch. Ella's mom handed her a container of potato salad, while her dad asked Kyle about his job. At the farm, Ella took a deep breath. Oh, Mum, leave. Dad, there's something I need to tell you. About Cale. Her parents looked at her, then at Cale. Ella's mom smiled. We know, honey. He's a unicorn. Ella's eyes widened. You know. Her dad laughed. Mabel told us. She said you've been dating a unicorn for a year, and you were too scared to tell us. She also said he's a good guy, fixes cars, bakes cookies, protects the forest. Ella stared at them. You're not mad? Or scared? Her mom shook her head, taking her hand. Ella, we just want you to be happy. Kyle makes you happy. He's kind. He's thoughtful. He even remembered, I like honey. That's all that matters. Cale smiled, holding up a jar of honey. I brought it for you. From my bees. It's the best kind. Ella's mum took the jar, grinning. Thank you, Cale. I'll make honey cake with it. Ella's favourite. They spent the day together, touring the barn, meeting the worm, who took a liking to Ella's dad, and having a picnic under Thorn's maple tree. Ella's dad helped Cale fix a loose board on the porch, while her mum talked to Lyra about unicorn traditions. When it was time for her parents to leave, her mum hugged Cale. Take care of her, she said. Kyle nodded. I will. I promise. Ella's dad shook his hand. Good, and if you ever need help fixing that car of hers, call me. I know a thing or two about old Hondas. They drove away, and Ella turned to Cale, smiling. I can't believe they took it so well. Cale kissed her. I told you. They love you, and they see how happy you are. Ella leaned into him, watching the sunset. Her parents knew. They accepted Cale. Everything was perfect. Well, almost perfect. Lyra ran out of the barn, grinning. Now that your parents know, can we have a party? A unicorn human party. With honey cake? Ella laughed. Yes, Lyra. We can have a party. Cale shook his head, but he was smiling. Fine. But no chocolate. For the worm's sake. Lyra saluted. No chocolate. Promise. Chapter 30. Maple Picnics and Forever Wishes. The party was perfect. Ella and Cale had set up a picnic under Thorn's maple tree, with a table covered in honey cake, potato salad, and vintage candy from the Jing. Lyra had decorated the tree with fairy lights. Gareth had bought a portable record player and a Frank Sinatra record, and Torrin had written a new poem. For Ella and Cale, the star-crossed human and unicorn. Mia was playing with the worm, who was wearing a tiny party hat, and Ella's parents had come back for the day, bringing more potato salad and a camera. This is nice, Ella said, sitting next to Cale on the blanket. Perfect. Cale nodded, wrapping his arm around her. Yeah, it is. Torrin cleared his throat, stepping forward. May I recite my poem? Everyone cheered, and Torrin began, his voice dramatic. Beneath the maple's green embrace, two souls found love, no time to waste. A human heart, a unicorn's grace. Together, they'll face every place. Honey sweet and coffee warm, their love will weather every storm. Forever bonded, hand in hand, in this forest, their promised land. Ella's eyes were wet. She clapped, along with everyone else. That's beautiful, Torrin. Thank you. Torrin smiled. You're welcome. It's the truth. They ate cake, danced to Frank Sinatra, and told stories. Ella about her grandma's maple tree, Cale about his mom's honeybees, her parents about Ella's childhood, embarrassing ones mostly. When the sun set, Ella's mom took a photo of Ella and Cale under the maple tree, their hands intertwined, the necklace around Ella's neck glinting in the light. I'll frame this, her mum said, grinning. Put it on the fridge. As the party wound down, Ella and Cale walked to the maple tree, standing under its branches. The fairy lights twinkled. The record player played soft music, and the worm napped in Cale's arms. Thorn would be happy, Ella said, touching the tree's bark. He always wanted us to be happy. Kale nodded. He is happy. I can feel him. In the wind. In the leaves. He turned to her, his teal eyes bright. I love you, Ella. More than words. Ella smiled. I love you too, Kale. Forever. They kissed, slow and deep, as the stars came out. The forest was quiet, their friends were laughing, and the maple tree swayed in the wind. Thorn's way of saying, I love you too. Ella knew there would be more challenges, more magical creatures to help, more silly arguments with Lyra, more late nights fixing her car. But she didn't care. She had Kale, she had her family, she had her friends. And that was enough. In the end, that's all anyone could ask for. Forever. Chapter 31. Anxious Hedgehogs and Honey Heists. The barn's morning calm was shattered by a high-pitched squeak. Small, frantic, and coming from the supply closet, Ella set down her latte vanilla oat milk, Kale's handiwork, and followed the noise, her wand tucked in her pocket. When she pulled open the door, she found a hedgehog spine stuck with bits of hay, eyes wide as acorns, huddled behind a bag of chicken feed. Hey there, Ella said, softening her voice. She knelt down, keeping her hands visible. I'm not going to hurt you. What's your name? The hedgehog squeaked again, then mumbled something so quiet she could barely hear it. Percy. I messed up my magic. Ella's eyebrows lifted. Here, magic? You're a magical hedgehog? Percy nodded, his spines twitching. I can make flowers grow. But I got scared. A kid chased me yesterday, and now my magic's all wobbly. I tried to grow a daisy, and I made a cactus instead. It pricked me. He held up a tiny paw where a tiny thorn stuck out. Ella stifled a laugh, pulling a tissue from her pocket to gently remove the thorn. That sounds stressful. Want to talk about it? I'm a magical creature tech. I help with stuff like this. Percy brightened, scurrying onto her palm. Really? You can fix my magic? Let's try, Ella said. She carried him to the break room, where Kyle was making honey toast, his third of the morning, and Lyra was rummaging through the pantry. New client, Kale said, nodding at Percy. Percy, Ella said. He's got magic anxiety. Grew a cactus instead of a daisy. Lyra gasped, dropping a jar of honey. A cactus? That's amazing. Teach me how to do that. I could prank Gareth. Gareth, who'd just walked in with a clipboard, glared. Don't even think about it, Fox. I still have thorns in my boot from the last time you pranked me. Ella rolled her eyes, setting Percy on the table. She pulled out her wand, its teal crystal glowing softly. Percy, I need you to take a deep breath. Think about something calm, like a sunny field or fresh grass. Okay? Percy closed his eyes, his spines relaxing. Ella touched the wand to his back, whispering the calming spell Kyle had taught her. For a second, nothing happened. Then, a tiny daisy sprouted from the table, its petals bright white. I did it, Percy squeaked, doing a little spin. Kale smiled, setting a tiny dish of honey in front of him. Good job. Honey helps with nerves. Try it. Percy lapped up the honey, his eyes closing in delight. Lyra leaned over, grinning. Hey, Percy, you want to help me steal Garrett's lunch? He's got a turkey sandwich, and he doesn't share. Gareth slammed his clipboard down. Lyra, stop corrupting the hedgehog. Ella laughed, picking Percy up. Simon, Percy, let's show you the maple tree. Thorn's there. He'll love your daisies. They walked to the eastern forest, Kale trailing behind with a smile. Percy chattered the whole way, talking about his favourite flower, daisies, and his least favourite, cacti, obviously. When they reached the maple tree, Thorn's leaves rustled, his way of saying hello. See? Ella said, setting Percy on a branch. He likes you. Percy beamed, growing a tiny daisy on one of the tree's branches. For Thorn, thank you for helping me, Ella. And Kale. Kale nodded, his teal eyes warm. Anytime, Percy. You're always welcome here. As they walked back to the barn, Ella slicked her hand into Kale's. He's cute. Reminds me of when I first started. Scared, but trying. Kale squeezed her hand. You still try, every day. That's why I love you. Ella's face warmed. She leaned up, kissing his cheek. I love you too. Even when you eat all the honey toast. Kale laughed, pulling her closer. Guilty. Chapter 32. Council invitations and honey cakes. Ella's desk was covered in papers. Training schedules, client notes, a half-finished list of worm-safe snacks, when Gareth dropped a sealed envelope on top of it. The wax seal had a maple tree engraved on it, and the paper smelled like pine. Forest Council's been asking for you, Gareth said, crossing his arms. Said it's important. Don't be late, they hate late humans. Ella picked up the envelope, her heart racing. The Forest Council was the governing body of Bramblewood's magical creatures. Kale had mentioned them, but she'd never met them. What if they thought she wasn't qualified? What if they wanted to take her job away? Hey, Kale said, appearing in her office doorway. He could read her anxiety like a book. After a year together, he knew all her tells, the way she bit her lip, the way she tapped her foot. What's wrong? Ella held up the envelope. The council wants to see me. What if I mess up? What if they don't like me? Kale knelt down, taking her hands. They already like you. They've been watching you. How you helped Percy, how you fixed the worm's fever, how you talked to Thorn like he's a friend. You're not just a tech, Ella. You're a bridge between humans and magical creatures. That's what they need. Ella took a deep breath. You're right. I want to make them proud. You will, Kale said. He kissed her knuckles. Now go. I'll hold down the fort, and if Lyra tries to steal honey, I'll stop her. Probably. Ella laughed, standing up. She slipped the envelope into her bag, grabbed her wand, and headed for the council's meeting place, a clearing in the deep forest, surrounded by ancient trees with glowing runes. The council members were a mix of creatures, a wise old owl, their leader, Archibald, a stoic centaur, Torrin's cousin, Darius, and a playful nymph, Lila's aunt, Elara. They sat around a stone table, their expressions serious. But when Ella walked in, Archibald smiled. Ella Marlowe, he said. We've been looking forward to meeting you. Ella sat down, her hands in her lap. You wanted to see me? Elara nodded, twirling a strand of her leafy hair. We need a human magical creature, liaison. Someone to help humans understand us, and vice versa. You're perfect for the job. You've already built trust, with Percy, with the worm, with Kale. We want you. Ella's eyes widened. Ah? Me? Are you sure? I'm just a tech. Archibald shook his head. You're more than that. You're kind. You listen. That's what matters. Will you take the job? Ella nodded, her voice shaking. No, I'd be honored. When she left the clearing, she ran back to the barn, her heart light. Kale was waiting on the porch, holding a small cake. Honey, of course, with a candle in the center. Did you know? Ella said, grinning. Kyle shrugged, but his ears were pink. Maybe I asked Archibald to send the letter today. I wanted to celebrate. Ella hugged him, kissing his cheek. Thank you. For believing in me. He kissed her back, slow and sweet. Always. That night, they ate the honey cake on Ella's porch, watching the stars. Ella twirled the necklace around her neck. The unicorn horn shard, forever engraved on the back, and smiled. She had a job she loved, a boyfriend who adored her, and a family, magical and human, who supported her. Life was weird, but it was perfect. Chapter 33. Busy schedules and Firefly. Apologies. Ella's new job as liaison kept her busy. Busier than she'd ever been. She spent her days meeting with town officials, organizing Magical Creature 101 classes for humans, and mediating between a grumpy dryad and a farmer who'd accidentally planted corn too close to his tree. By the end of the week, she was exhausted. And she'd forgotten her promise to have a picnic with Kyle under the maple tree. She arrived at the barn at 7 p.m., her feet sore, to find Kale sitting on the porch swing staring at the forest. The picnic basket was next to him, full of her favourite snacks, turkey sandwiches, potato salad, chocolate chip cookies, the ones he'd learned to bake just for her. Kale, Ella said, her voice soft, I'm so sorry. I got caught up with the farmer and the dryad, and I lost track of time. Kale stood up, forcing a smile. It's okay. I get it. You're busy. But his eyes were dull, his shoulders slouched. Ella knew him too well. He wasn't mad, he was hurt. "It's not okay," Ella said. She walked over, taking his hands. "I promised, and I broke it. You deserve better than that." Cale sighed, pulling her into a hug. "I know you're busy. I missed you. We haven't had time to ourselves all week." Ella's heart ached. He was right. Between the council meetings, the classes, and the mediations, she'd barely had time to kiss him goodbye in the morning. "I have an idea," Ella said, pulling away. She grabbed her jacket from the porch. "See, Mon, I know a place." She led him to the eastern forest, past the maple tree, to a small meadow she'd found a few weeks ago. Fireflies flickered in the grass, and the moon cast a soft glow over everything. Ella spread out a blanket, pulling Cale down next to her. "I'm sorry I forgot the picnic," she said. "But we can have a firefly picnic instead. No sandwiches, no potato salad, just us." Cale smiled, his teal eyes brightening. Just us. They lay on the blanket, watching the fireflies. Ella told him about the farmer and the dryad. They'd agreed to plant sunflowers between the corn and the tree. "Sunflowers make everyone happy," the dryad had said. And Cale told her about Percy, who'd come back to grow daisies around the barn. "I love this," Cale said, wrapping his arm around her. "Just being with you." Ella leaned up, kissing him. "Me too. I'll do better. No more missing picnics." Cale laughed. "Deal. But if you do, I'm making you eat honey cake for every meal until you apologize." Ella grinned. "Fair." They stayed in the meadow until midnight, chasing fireflies and talking about nothing and everything. When they walked back to the barn, Cale held her hand, and Ella felt the necklace around her neck. Forever press against her chest. She'd made a mistake, but they'd fixed it. That's what love was, she thought. Not being perfect, being sorry, and being together. Chapter 34. Secret Tree Holes and Childhood Memories. "Close your eyes," Cale said, taking Ella's hand. They were deep in the eastern forest, past the maple tree and the meadow, and the air smelled like pine and honey. "Cale, if you're leading me to a nest of spiders, I'm never talking to you again," Ella said, but she closed her eyes anyway. He laughed, guiding her forward. "No spiders. Promise." They walked for a few minutes, then Cale stopped. "Open." Ella opened her eyes. In front of her was a massive oak tree. Its trunk split open to form a small, cozy hole lined with moss, filled with old books and covered in ancient runes. "Is my secret base," Cale said, his voice soft. "I came here when I was young, when I was scared or lonely." Ella stepped inside, running her fingers over the runes. "What do the runes mean?" "Protection," Cale said. "My mom carved them. She said they'd keep me safe." He picked up an old book from the floor. "Tales of Unicorns and Fawns," and smiled. "I read this until the pages fell out." Ella sat down on the moss, pulling Cale next to her. "You were lonely," he nodded. "After the poachers stole my horn shard, I didn't trust anyone. I stayed here for weeks, just reading. I thought I'd never have friends again." Ella's heart hurt. She wrapped her arm around him, resting her head on his shoulder. "I'm sorry you had to be alone." Cale kissed her forehead. "I'm not alone anymore. I have you, Lyra, Gareth, even Torin with his poems." Ella smiled, pulling a small photo from her pocket, one of them under the maple tree, taken at the party. She tucked it into the book, next to a page about unicorn bonds. "Now it's got a new memory," she said. Cale looked at the photo, his eyes soft. "Thank you for making this place happy again." They sat in the tree hole for hours, talking about Cale's childhood. How he'd learned to fly badly at first, how he'd befriended a fawn who taught him to find honey, how he'd cried when his mom died. Ella told him about her grandma, about the maple tree they'd climbed, about the day she'd decided to study medieval folklore. When they left, Cale carved a new rune into the tree, Ella next to his mom's. "Now it's official," he said. "You're part of the secret base." Ella laughed, taking his hand. "Good. I was getting jealous of the book." As they walked back to the barn, the moon was high and the forest was quiet. Ella felt the necklace around her neck, and she knew this was where she belonged. With Kale, in their secret tree hole, in there forever. Chapter 35. Open Days and New Beginnings. The magical creature Open Day was chaos, but the good kind. Ella had organised it with the council, a day where Bramblewood's humans could come to the barn, meet the magical creatures, and learn about their world. The parking lot was full of cars, the porch was covered in fairy lights, and Torrin was reciting a poem about unity to a crowd of smiling people. Mia was showing a group of kids how to feed the worm, who was wearing a tiny bow tie. Lyra was giving fox spirit selfies for a small honey donation, and Gareth was grumpily handing out safety brochures, though he'd secretly added a page of how to spot a stolen honey jar, aimed directly at Lyra. Ella stood by the maple tree, talking to a group of parents about Percy the Hedgehog, when Kale walked over, holding 2 lattes. "Everything's going perfect," he said, handing her one. Ella smiled, taking a sip. "Yeah? Who knew humans would love magical creatures this much?" Mabel walked over, grinning. "They love you too. You've made this town feel like home. Before, people were scared of unicorns, of dryads. Now, they're bringing them apple pie." Ella looked around, at the kids laughing with the worm, at the parents talking to Thorn, who was crying maple syrup, happy tears, at Lyra and Gareth bickering over a jar of honey, and felt her heart fill. This was what she'd wanted. A world where humans and magical creatures could coexist. A world where Kyle didn't have to hide. "Hey," a small voice said. Ella looked down to find a little girl, maybe 7, with pigtails and a unicorn backpack staring up at her. "Is that a real unicorn?" She nodded at Kale, who was talking to a farmer about honeybees. Ella knelt down. "Yep, that's Kale. He's my boyfriend." The little girl's eyes widened. "Can I meet him? I want to be a magical creature tech when I grow up." Ella smiled, taking her hand. "See, Mon, I'll introduce you." She led the girl to Kale, who knelt down, his teal eyes warm. "Hi there, I'm Kale." "I'm Lily," the girl said. "I want to help creatures like you, and Percy, and the worm." Kale smiled, handing her a tiny jar of honey. "Then you will. Just be kind. That's the most important part." Lily nodded, clutching the honey jar. "I will. I promise." As the day wound down, Ella and Kale stood on the porch, watching the last of the guests leave. The worm was asleep in Kale's arms. Percy was curled up in Ella's pocket, and the maple tree swayed in the wind. Thorn's way of saying, "Well done." "We did good," Ella said, leaning into Kale's side. Kale kissed her, slow and deep. "We did. Together." They stayed on the porch until the stars came out, talking about the future, about more open days, about training Lily to be a tech, about growing old together under the maple tree. Ella touched the necklace around her neck. "Forever," and smiled. Forever wasn't a word. It was a promise to be kind, to be there, to love each other, even when life got busy, even when there were anxious hedgehogs and honey heists and secret tree holes. Forever was them, and that was perfect. Chapter 36. Vine Mishaps and Memory. Honey Percy's panicked squeak echoed through the barn at 9 a.m. Loud enough to make Gareth drop his clipboard and Lyra spit out her honey latte. Ella set down her client notes, a dryad's request for less corn, more sunflowers, and followed the noise to the eastern forest, where she found the hedgehog tangled in a mess of ivy. "Ella," Percy squeaked, his spine stuck to the vines. "I was trying to make a boy for Thorn's tree, but my magic went wonky. Now it won't stop growing." The ivy had already wrapped around 3 of the maple tree's branches, its leaves spreading fast. Ella knelt down, carefully untangling a vine from Percy's paw. "It's okay. Magic gets excited sometimes. We'll fix it." Kale appeared a minute later, carrying a small shears, enchanted to avoid hurting the tree. "Heard there was a vine crisis," he said, grinning. He knelt next to Ella, his fingers brushing hers as he snipped a thick ivy strand. "Percy, next time you want to decorate, tell us first. We've got a whole box of non-magical ribbons in the barn." Percy's ears drooped. "I just wanted to make Thorn happy. It's his tree birthday, he told me last week. Thorn's leaves rustled, soft, happy sounds. Ella smiled, patting the tree's bark. He's happy, even with the ivy, but let's give him something softer, okay? They spent the next hour untangling the ivy and decorating the tree with ribbons. Pink, blue, and gold. Lyra's contribution. I stole them from Gareth's office. He won't miss 'em. Cale brought out a jar of honey, pouring a tiny dish for Percy and a larger one for Thorn. Maple trees love honey. My mom taught me that. As Percy lapped up the honey, Cale sat next to Ella on the grass, his shoulder pressing against hers. I used to do this with my mom, he said, nodding at the tree. Every spring, we'd decorate the oak by our cabin. She'd use her magic to grow flowers, and I'd hang the ribbons. I was terrible at it. I'd drop them in the mud. Ella smiled, touching his hand. Did she get mad? Cale laughed. No. She'd say, messy ribbons are the best kind, they have character. He picked up a gold ribbon, tying it around her wrist. For you, so you'll always have a little piece of my mum's tree. Ella's heart warmed. She leaned up, kissing his cheek. Thank you. I'll keep it forever. Lyra, who'd been watching from a distance, yelled, Hey, are we going to eat the honey cake I found in the break room? Or are you two going to make googly eyes all day? Gareth, appearing out of nowhere, scowled. That's my honey cake. I was saving it for lunch. Ella laughed, pulling Cale to his feet. See, Mon. Let's go stop them before Gareth chases Lyra through the forest. As they walked back to the barn, Percy trotting beside them, Ella twisted the gold ribbon around her wrist. It was a small thing, just a ribbon. But it felt like a piece of Cale's heart. Forever, she thought, is the small things that make forever real. Chapter 37. Rainy Days and Warm Cocoa. The storm hit Bramblewood at dawn, dark clouds, thunder that shook the barn, and rain that poured in sheets. Ella woke up to the sound of her phone buzzing, a text from Thorn sent via Lyra since trees can't type. That said, roots are drowning. Need help. She threw on her flannel and rain boots, grabbing an umbrella, and raced to the forest. Cale was already there, digging a trench around the maple tree with a shovel, his shirt soaked through. Thorn's leaves were drooping, his branches shaking, scared, Ella realized. His roots are waterlogged, Cale said, pausing to wipe rain from his face. We need to drain the water fast, or they'll rot. Ella nodded, grabbing a shovel from the barn. They dug side by side, the rain soaking their hair, the thunder drowning out their conversation. Mia arrived a few minutes later with a wheelbarrow full of sand. Gareth said it helps absorb water, and Lyra showed up with a handful of enchanted seeds. They grow into drainage pipes. I stole them from the council's supply closet. Gareth arrived last, grumbling about stupid rain and stupid trees, but he brought a pump for the water, not for you two, he said. Though his ears were pink when Ella thanked him. They worked for hours, digging trenches, laying sand, planting Lyra's seeds, which sprouted into small, sturdy pipes, and pumping water away from the roots. Ella slipped in the mud at one point, but Cale caught her, his arms tight around her waist. Careful, he said, his voice soft. I don't want you getting hurt. Ella smiled, even as rain dripped down her face. I'm okay. We're almost done. By noon, the storm had passed, and Thorn's leaves were perking up. He dropped a small maple seed at Ella's feet. A gift, Cale said. He's thanking you. They tramped back to the barn, soaked and muddy, but grinning. Lyra built a fire in the break room's fireplace, and Mia made hot cocoa, rich, creamy, with a dash of honey. They sat around the fire, sipping cocoa and drying off, as Torrin recited a poem about rainy days and friends who dig trenches. This is nice, Ella said, leaning against Cale's shoulder. His shirt was still damp, but he was warm, like a human space heater, she thought. Cale nodded, pressing a kiss to her forehead. Yeah? Even with the mud. Gareth, who'd been quiet, held up his cocoa. 2 not drowning trees, he said, his voice gruff. Everyone cheered, clinking their mugs. Outside, the sun came out, casting a rainbow over the forest. Thorn's tree stood tall, its leaves glowing in the sunlight. Ella closed her eyes, listening to her friends laugh. This was home, she thought. Not the apartment, Not the barn. These people. These magical, messy, wonderful people. And Kale, with his teal eyes and honey smile. He was her forever. Chapter 38. Honey Cakes and Secret Promises. Ella had been planning it for weeks, a surprise for KL to thank him for everything. She'd asked Mabel for his mum's honey cake recipe. It's a secret, but for you. I'll tell it. And she'd spent 3 nights practicing burning 2 cakes, undercooking 1, and finally getting it right. She baked the cake on a Saturday morning, filling her apartment with the smell of honey and cinnamon. She decorated it with fresh daisies, Percy had grown them for her, special delivery, and set it on the kitchen table, along with a bottle of apple cider, Kale's favourite. Kale arrived at 6 p.m, carrying a small bag. I brought something, he said, holding up a jar of honey. It's from my bees, extra sweet. I thought we could put it on. Cake? His eyes widened when he saw the table. Did you? Ella nodded, grinning. Mabel gave me the recipe. I practiced 3 times. Don't laugh if it's bad. Kale walked over, his hands shaking as he touched the cake. My mum used to make this for my birthday. I haven't had it since she died. Ella's heart ached. She stepped closer, wrapping her arms around him. I'm sorry if it's not the same. I tried. Kale kissed her, cutting her off. It's perfect. Thank you. They ate the cake at the kitchen table, sharing a fork. Ella insisted it was more romantic. Kale's eyes closed when he took the first bite, a soft smile on his face. It tastes like her, he said, his voice tight. Like home. After cake, Kale took her hand. I have something to show you. Come on. He led her to the secret oak tree hole, which he decorated with fairy lights and a blanket. He sat down, pulling her into his lap. I've been thinking, he said, his fingers brushing the necklace around her neck, the unicorn horn shard forever engraved on the back. I don't want to just be bonded. I want a home. With you. A real one. A cabin, maybe, by the forest, with a porch swing and a garden for your daisies and a shelf for your history books. Ella's eyes filled with tears. Kyle. I know it's soon, he said, rushing on, but I love you. More than I ever thought possible. And I want to spend forever with you, if you'll let me. Ella nodded, her voice shaking. No, of course I will. He kissed her, slow and deep, the fairy lights glowing around them. Outside, the moon rose, casting a soft glow over the forest. Ella touched the necklace, then Kale's face, warm, real, hers. Forever wasn't a distant dream. It was a cabin in the woods, a honey cake, a secret tree hole. It was them. Chapter 39. Tiny Techs and Counsel. Praise Lily arrived at the barn at 8 a.m. Her unicorn backpack slung over her shoulder, a notebook in her hand. I'm ready, she said, bouncing on her toes. Ella said I can learn to feed the worm today, and maybe meet Percy. Ella smiled, kneeling down to her level. First, we learn the rules. Rule 1. No chocolate near the worm. Rule 2. Be gentle with Percy. His spines are sensitive. Rule 3. If Gareth yells, it's probably because Lyra stole his lunch. Don't worry about it. Lily nodded, scribbling the rules in her notebook. Got it. No chocolate. Be gentle. Gareth's mad at Lyra. Kale walked over, holding a tiny dish of honey. For Percy, he said, handing it to Lily. He'll like you if you bring him honey. Trust me. Lily grinned, taking the dish. Let's go. They spent the morning teaching Lily the ropes, how to hold the worm gently under his belly, how to feed Percy slowly so he doesn't choke, and how to talk to Thorn softly, trees like quiet voices, Ella said. Lily was a quick learner. She even managed to calm a nervous baby dryad who'd gotten lost in the barn. She's good, Kale said, watching Lily laugh as the worm napped on her shoulder. He stood next to Ella, his hand in hers. Like you, Ella smiled. She's better. She's not scared to ask questions. I was so nervous my first week. Kale kissed her forehead. You were perfect. Even when you spilled honey on my office floor. That afternoon, Archibald the Owl council leader visited the barn. He watched Lily help Mia with the dryad, then turned to Ella. You've done something wonderful here, he said. Humans and magical creatures used to be scared of each other. Why, now they're bringing cake. They're teaching each other. You made that happen. Ella's face warmed. I didn't do it alone. Kyle helped. Lyra. Gareth. Everyone. Archibald nodded, his eyes twinkling. But you started it. You listened. That's the hardest part. He handed her a small medal engraved with a maple tree and a unicorn. The council's thank you for being our bridge. Lily ran over, her eyes wide. Did you get a medal? That's so cool. Ella knelt down, showing her the medal. Maybe one day you'll get one too, if you keep being kind. Lily nodded, her notebook already open. I will. I'm going to be the best magical creature tech ever. As Archibald left, Cale wrapped his arm around Ella. I'm proud of you, he said. Ella leaned into him, watching Lily chase Percy through the grass. I'm proud of us. This was what it meant to be a bridge, she thought. Not just mediating arguments, but teaching, inspiring, building a future where everyone belonged. And she couldn't wait to build it with Cale. Chapter 40. Forever in the maple shade, 1 year later. The magical creature. Open day was bigger than ever. Cars lined the road to the barn. Kids laughed as they fed the worm, now full grown, but still just as cuddly, and Percy had a small daisy stand. He grew them for free, for anyone who's nice. Lily was there too, no longer a student, but a junior tech. She helped a group of kids make flower crowns for Thorn's tree. Her notebook filled with client notes. Dryad 3, needs more sun. Worm, loves apple slices. Ella stood under the maple tree, watching Cale talk to a group of farmers about honeybees. He was wearing the plaid suit jacket from Retro Day. He'd grown to like it, only for you. And the sun caught his silver-streaked hair. He's good with them, Mabel said, walking over with a slice of honey cake. Always has been. But you make him softer. Happier. Ella smiled, taking the cake. He makes me happier too. I never thought I'd find a home here. Not until him. Mabel nodded, her eyes warm. Home isn't a place. It's the people who love you, even if they're unicorns. As the sun began to set, Cale walked over, taking Ella's hand. See, Mon, I have something to show you. He led her to the secret oak tree hole, now their special spot, which he'd expanded into a small cabin. It had a porch swing, a garden with daisies, and a shelf filled with Ella's history books and Cale's old unicorn tales. Welcome home, Cale said, opening the door. Ella stepped inside, her eyes filling with tears. It was perfect, cozy, warm theirs. Cale knelt down, pulling a small box from his pocket. Inside was a ring, made from a tiny shard of his horn, matching her necklace. I know we said forever, he said, his voice soft. But I want to say it again. Ella Marlowe, will you marry me? Not just as a bond. As my wife, my partner, my home. Ella nodded, her voice shaking. No, 1,000 times yes. He slipped the ring on her finger, then stood up, pulling her into a hug. Outside, the barn's guests cheered. Lyra had been watching, of course, and Percy shot a shower of daisies over them. Later, they sat on the cabin's porch swing, watching the stars. Ella touched her necklace and her ring. Forever, and smiled. She'd come to Bramblewood, broke, scared, and jobless. She'd found a job, friends, a family. She'd found Kyle. In the grim, chaotic world, she'd found her forever. And it was perfect. The end.